Oh shit. Oh shit. No. Damn it. I mean, shit. I wasn't. I was just. We were just about to work. I promise. I promise I wasn't playing Pokopia. Shit. That was like a YouTube video. That's what it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes. Good morning. Hello. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the VOD. Hello, my friends. What's up, guys? Good to see you. Happy Friday. It's Friday. Okay. All right. Didn't get that one wrong today. Because I definitely thought yesterday, I thought it was Wednesday. I was like positive it was Wednesday, but you know, that's what happens, I guess, when you're still in new parent brain, as it were. Thank you, Upmost Coast, for the follow. I appreciate that. And welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the VOD. Everyone else, good to see you all. She looks so pretty. Thank you, Sabine. I appreciate it. Today, very important Fan Art Friday. A very important Fan Art Friday in which I make good on a promise to redo my Princess Ashy of Heart art every year. Probably every three years. Maybe every 5 years. It'll be the quickest 6 years between each sketch. Like, you look at the 7-year mark and you're like, he's right there. So, you know, nothing to worry about. What's up, Soul? Good morning, dude. A 2-day streaming streak, totally smashing your previous August 2026 record. Yeah, no, I mean, that's great, honestly. 2 days in a row in August of this year is, what can I say? I mean, I'm just putting in the work. You know, they talk about at the Streamer Awards, putting in the work as a streamer, making sure you're live all day, every day for your adoring fans. I've yet to meet an adoring fan yet, but actually, I was recognized at Ren Fair for my voice, if you can believe that. Someone walked up to the table and they were looking at dice, and I was talking to somebody else, and she was like, "Hey, do you make videos on Instagram?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "Do you make videos on Instagram where you draw stuff?" And then she came around to the art, and she's like, "It is you. I follow you." So maybe that was an adoring fan. I don't know, but putting in the work anyway. Getting those stream days done so that I actually have a reason to sit down and work. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I first started streaming, is because of another streamer by the name of Dave Greco, who I used to watch back when he used to stream years ago. And he talked about how he first started streaming on Twitch because it kept him like consistent with his work habits. And I was like, good enough for Dave Greco, good enough for me, you know? So I started streaming because of that too. That was also back when I wanted to get a job at a video game studio, when I thought that was my path forward. And then that changed. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll go take a job at Blizzard for a couple of years and draw some cool Warcraft shit or something. I am a celebrity now, Sabine. Yes, you're right. Exactly. I was recognized once. I took a picture with somebody at Ren Fair last year, and she was like, "Wow, I never get to take pictures of famous people." Okay. Okay. All right, whatever. Glad I could feed the delusion. But yeah, so today we're gonna draw my favorite thing ever, which is Paladins. He's actually a paladin. No, but don't worry about it. Armored cloth sword, like that's basically a paladin. So we're doing the new updated princess herself today, and I'm gonna see if we can make a quick little process video about it, and maybe I can actually post some process videos again, because I think it's been a long time since I was posting new videos. I think it's been a long time, honestly, and that really sucks. So hey, you know, today's a good work day. There are donuts in the kitchen, EBA stream in the morning, and maybe streamer from my college days doing things tonight. He also got blessed 2 to buy too busy with baby. That's amazing. Honestly, that's I'm impressed by his ability to stream in the evenings, because I have been thinking about that. Maybe I need to stream in the evenings, but with baby, oh boy, that's hard, you know, because little guy goes down at, I don't know, 7 or whatever, and then I'm like, I got 2 hours before I gotta be in bed if I want to be up in time to go to the gym tomorrow morning. So I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out all the busy things, you know, how to manage time, and whew, that's been the biggest struggle, maybe. So good morning, Silesian. How you doing? I knew it felt skilled, crafty, artistic, and overall talented in here, and I wasn't sure why, but apparently it was because Silesian was here, so now it makes sense. Congratulations on your infamy. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Congratulations on your golden crumb, which I don't think I've given you yet. Boy, man. So your language, you're also into Paladins. Good. I know you've been going for a while, so I think it's important we do this. Oh, God. It's too early for this shit. Okay. Whew. All right, Ashy. Ashy of Heart has redeemed the big microtransaction. Ashy, please roll a D100. We need to see what kind of RNG your big microtransaction has. Because let's face it, a 70, okay, honestly, that's not the worst. So in your big microtransaction for being a devoted EBA viewer for 100,000 channel points, you get in your loot box a weapon skin for a character that you haven't played and isn't meta relevant anymore for a number of years. Okay, but because this character has been downranked so hard and isn't good anymore, but we know that you can't resist skins. Whenever you get a new skin, you equip it on a hero and then you play that hero or champion or whatever. We know you're going to play this hero because you have nostalgia. You have a lot of hours played on it, even though you haven't played it since it wasn't meta relevant. And we are also going to, because we know that you want to play this hero, you will tolerate losses more. So we are going to line you up with the losers queue with higher ranked players that have been on a losing streak that we know are about to stop playing for the night. So we're going to put you in a match, just match after match after match, against better players that have been having a bad streak, just so we can feed you as fodder to them so that they play. And when they're in a good mood after they win 3 or 4 games, we're going to hit them with the promo just for you, whatever, of the weapon skin for the character that they were beating you with, because they're going to think that they have an inflated sense of skill over what there's actually true, just because they are beating a lower ranked player who is getting smashed into the losers queue. Which case we will make a lot of money off of them because they will impulse buy these weapons. So thank you for your support of Electronic Blair Arts. You also get an EXP boost for 30 days for a battle pass that you didn't pay for and won't get the rewards for. So we should play Heroes of the Storm soon. Thanks for your microtransaction, Ash. I appreciate it. And Lexer, please roll your D100 for the Green Dragon check. It's been a long time since we had a Green Dragon check. If you didn't know what a Green Dragon check was, if Lexer rolls a 100, I have to draw a Green Dragon. I just saw what I'm doing. And I have to draw a Green Dragon. And there's only a 30% chance it'll just be Trogdor. Okay? That's always good odds as far as I'm concerned. You know? And if it's a 1, unfortunately, Lexer has to draw me a Green Dragon. Anything in between, again, it's just all made up Fugazi RNG, just like you saw with Ashy's microtransactions. So we don't have to love it, but that's the way the mechanics work. So, you know, what's up, Cass? Good to see you, Penguin. A 30% chance is pretty good, I think, Penguin. 30% chance is real good. All right, that's like, man, if you have a 30% chance to land a hit on something, you're doing okay in a boss fight. So consider it that I'm giving good odds. I am being gracious with my willingness to maybe do a thing. Like, that's always what I think I want to define myself. When we think of values here at Electronic Blair Arts, when I have hired staff, creative individuals that are going to help me in building these projects, when we form a multi-billion-dollar video company and we go back to our core values, once we've forgotten our core values and we have YouTubers reminding us of our core values in videos but how we've changed and sold out, one of the core values that I really want to carve into stone around an orc statue in the middle of our courtyard is always maybe doing the thing you said you would kind of do. All right? And you can clip that. And when we build the campus, I'm gonna have a stonemason carve that into stone and place it at the base of the orc statue in the middle of our campus. Does that remind you of any video game studios? Maybe it does. Who knows? It's not my problem. Anyway, so number of years ago, I drew a little fan art of Ashley, my dear friend, and this has been one of my favorite pieces I've done. I've like done in my career, just because it's meaningful to me, because it was a piece for a friend and she really loved it. So I think it's time we do an updated version. We're gonna change some things around a little bit. You know, I know the hairstyle. We're gonna put it up. We're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna change the arm around a little bit, but it's going to be a glorious rendition. Another portrait for Ashy, just to show my appreciation for my illustrious and ever mighty DM, which, by the way, I haven't played D&D now since the fall. It has been since the fall since I have played a D&D game weekly, and I'm getting the itches, man. I'm getting the itches, bro. The brain itches. I'm like wondering what I can roll initiative for and shit on a daily basis. I tried playing D&D with the baby, but he just kicked me and then started drooling and then eating his hand. So I honestly, I think he'll be a great cleric player right now. Like, he might not be able to play any real class, but I think he could easily main a cleric for the next little while. Now, do I want to let my son main a cleric? I don't want to be none of those no clerics in my household kind of dads, but, you know, do you really want your son playing a cleric? Just condemning them to never having any friends for the rest of their life? Holy. I don't know about that. Lost a game of Monopoly to a cat once so I could see baby D&D working. Well, okay. That's fair enough. You know, chat only clips memes. Yeah, right. Sorry, not promises. Thank you. I appreciate that you guys don't clip promises. Cast. The amount of stuff that I would have to do if you guys showed me clips of me saying I would do something would be astronomical, honestly. A database of promises Evan has made for timelines and stuff. Just, it's amazing that I have such a gracious community of fellow D&D enjoyers around here that don't actually clip me saying shit that I have to actually stick to then. So, you know, I'm closing out 2 DM'd games of my D&D soon, and then starting an in-person campaign where I finally get to be a player. That's amazing, dude. Honestly, I have been missing in-person D&D. Shut up, Gaz. I've been missing in-person D&D for a while. But I would take any D&D right now. I would take online D&D happily, and I think online D&D would work better right now anyway for me, because, you know, it's just easier to not have to clean your fucking house. You know, when with the baby and stuff, you know, like I like, man, I don't think my house has been clean since April, you know, and that's apparently part of the newborn thing, and that's okay. You know, my office is an absolute atrocity. You guys want to see this shit? You want to see the shame? This is cleaner than it's been in weeks. This is the cleanest it's been since baby arrived. So, you know, hey, doing my best here. All right, you know that's okay. Oh shit! Oh, what's up, Brooklyn? What's going on? Barry's probably the most popular character my players chose. Just my players choose. Just saying. Well, have you told your players that none of them have friends and none of them deserve to have friends either? Because, you know, that's what happens when you play a cleric. And if the DM hasn't killed you yet, he just can't do it. Penguin, that means you're too good of a player. That means you've beaten the DM at D&D. You've won D&D. And now you are the alpha in the group, which means that whenever you go to your DM's place of residency, you have to mark your territory and pee all over his walls. Or so they say in the game store. I don't know about this D&D thing, but I never won D&D. I'm just going based on what I hear from game store tales, you know? My in-person D&D game group just had our 1-year anniversary. We're not playing this week, and I thought it was difficult. That was difficult. Not playing since fall would be sad. It has been, honestly, Salesian. It's really been sad. Not playing, well, yeah, I mean, after not playing for a week when you're like in the throes of it, that's tough. When it's like no longer part of your routine, you kind of forget about it here and there. But yeah, no, dude, I really miss it. I really crave to get back into the saddle for DMing and running a campaign. I would just need to do something that's probably like, oh god, how would I figure the timing out for that? It would have to be a night that I was willing to stay up on. So I'd have to be willing not to go to the gym the next day, which is fine. It'd have to be a day where probably I'm not going to stream the next day. It'd have to be a day where we could deposit the baby with a parent. Or I just play without Ella, and that's going to be too heartbreaking. It'd have to be maybe like Fridays or something every like other week or some shit to get back into it right now. It'll get easier at some point in time, I know. Like timing with the baby is always tough for the first 6 months, and then it gets, you figure it out, you know. But I think it's probably the play, you know, is to create a small little game like that. Yes, hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Well, now I'm better. Well, now I'm good. What's up, guys?
I present to you Gyps Fulvus for your consideration of Van Alexander.
All right. Iduria marking this territory with the best crumb. Okay. Let's see. What is the meta entry for the day? Today's meta entry is the Eurasian Griffin Vulture. I love animals that are two animals together. And not like Avatar, but like the Quackian monkey lizard, the Relician feathered monkey goblin, or gob monkey, or the Eurasian Griffin Vulture. I don't know anything about vultures, but I will say, because it's a 3-word name for this magnificent beast, like if the meta this week, Aduria, is raptors and aggressive birds, I would rate this probably a 7.6. If the meta is how I envision Reddit mods, just trolling the forums, waiting for anyone to say anything so they can feel relevant and do something, I would rate it probably 9.2. So, yeah, you know, thanks for our bits, guys. I appreciate it. Like I said, if you move to my area in BC, we can totally get an in-person session going. I have another friend with a newborn. They're aiming to move into an area about 2 years. But easy peasy, common ground and friends. I mean, I basically live in BC. Are you kidding? Like I'm basically there. I'm like 4 hours away from the border. You know, that's basically there. Like, traffic is bad, you know. I'm probably closer to this interior BC than shit if you were at UBC campus and trying to get to Poco or whatever. So if it's 6 hours across town for them and it's only 4 hours for me to the border, I'm basically there. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're complaining about, bro. I'm already moved in and ready to go. Vultures are detrivores. That's my extent of the extent of my knowledge. I don't know what a detrivore is, but I'm assuming that that's also another kind word for Reddit mod. So, yeah. But I don't know. I want to get like a D&D, like a proper D&D game going, but I literally can't think of like honestly, the best way timing wise that I could consider how to play D&D right now is if I created a game on a weekday in the morning / afternoon, that'd be the easiest to deposit baby to one of the parents with. So I would need to find a group that can play from about now, whatever now is for time for you guys, till about when I end stream. So the only real people that I know that aren't busy at this point in time are Europeans and people who don't have jobs. So this is my formal invitation to my streamer friends to play D&D with me during the day. I mean, really, I probably could get some of my streamer friends to you know, so VTuber, exactly, VTuber D&D. Like, who else isn't doing anything important in the middle of the day? You know, if I think about any of the streamers that I know that are like available in the middle of the day, they're all VTubers. Like, I think being unemployed comes with the territory of being a employed VTubers. You just also are somehow simultaneously doing great on Twitch while also fucking unemployed. You know, somehow just LARPing as somebody who's unemployed. Like that's also kind of my hours too. And I'm not a VTuber, so maybe it's not ubiquitous with the territory. Maybe I'm like moving my way. I'm inching towards my inevitable future of being a VTuber. But I can't be a VTuber anymore because I can't have my son knowing that his father was, oh my god, the cat. Totally forgot about Evangeline. Oh my god, I haven't thought about Project Evangeline since April? May? No. Last time I streamed. Holy shit. I need to purge this from the records. Anyway, which I was that degenerate, a little degenerate would be nice to hang out more. It's fine, man. Just quit your job and just play MMOs professionally. It's fine. You know? It's fine, bro. People work in bars? That's true. Yeah. You've worked today, but not till 3 p.m. Okay, so Silesian's in. So now I'm looking at cosplayers and VTubers. This will be the most unhinged D&D game I've ever played. I and a friends who's fiending to play D&D again. Well, there you go. Okay. All right. You know? I don't think I could play D&D with Aya because I think that there's too much bad blood there about clerics. I think she would just try like and be effective at ruining my life somehow. I don't exactly know how, but I think that I've said too much shit. I've talked my shit, and I think that, yeah, I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware as to the misery that I would deserve. So I'm not gonna completely, you know, not gonna completely go with it, I guess. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Aduria.
Does baby know about this one?
Mods, can you remind me in 2 years to delete every single VOD from before? I have 18 months now ish. I have a year and a half to clean my stream up to become a respectable individual, and that I'm gonna delete every meme, every anime reference, every Project Evangeline, every alert. I'm gonna delete all of it to make sure, to insist that when baby boy is older and he goes back and wants to see the kind of things that the dad was doing when he was born, he needs to never see the memes. Okay, I need to have a little bit of respect from him at some point in time. Maybe if we can even get there. Which I like to play in the middle of the day on a weekday. It's still a couple of years away. Yeah, man, I know it's tough, right? I know it's tough. I mean, maybe honestly, I think in general, like if I'm really thinking about this seriously, I think that in general it just needs to be a morning. But I'm pretty sure I could like convince a parent to to watch baby, even on a weekend, in the mornings. As long as in the mornings. It'd have to be morning D&D. Morning D&D is great though, you know? Morning D&D, I imagine, you know, it takes some of the pressure off, right? Because you still have the rest of the day left that you can do whatever you want to. I played morning D&D for a while. Who did I play morning D&D with? I played morning D&D with, it was Mendari and Ella and Saturn. We played our pirate D&D game. I forgot about that. We played our pirate D&D game, and it was really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed playing morning D&D. And it was kind of funny because like Faye and Saturn were both like, this is so awesome. We played D&D for like 4 hours and we still have the rest of the day to get errands done. Holy man, that's great. And then we all realized how old that made us sound. It was a simultaneous realization that we were all saddened by, but morning D&D is great, man. You go get your Starbucks order. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. Because even though it was morning D&D, since we were playing pirate D&D, I would make Ella and I grog. Old Galen's Island grog. It's not actually grog. It's got far too much alcohol in it. But it's basically a tropical cocktail that I created based on this one character in D&D, Old Galen. And I'd make that for Ella and I at like 10 in the morning. We were playing pirate D&D. You know, it's fine, right? It's fine. I'm not worried about it. Can't do that shit anymore, probably. I don't know. It's been a while since I could actually tolerate any kind of alcohol with my stomach. So, like, I can also make a WoW hardcore clan, call for them like only Blairs, and see if someone who used to work at Blizzard forgets to use a mana crystal in a raid. Man, I could, but I don't know if I could tolerate the know-it-all bullshit for long enough for someone who used to work at Blizzard to get to the point where we'd actually hit level cap. So yeah, sorry man, can't delete the cat girl sounds alerts from mine though. Fuck, I can try and pay you off with art. Showing him the orb and watching his eyes go wide with power. So I will say his skull does kind of look like an orb, and I have pondered it. I have pondered my son's baby brain before, and it's pretty good pondering, you know. As far as orbs go, it's up there. Like it's top 7 at least ponderable orbs, you know. Morning D&D sounds amazing, especially these days when I'm basically ready for bed by 8:30 p.m. Yeah, honestly, like it's not really morning D&D anyway, because I'm up at 5:30 a.m. every single day. Honestly, getting up early as shit was one of the best things, like changes I've made, even like pre-baby. Getting up early as shit is phenomenal. Going to the gym, like there is something different about going to the gym when all the 5:30 a.m. crowd is there. Because everybody there is like a super high performing, like absolute stud of an individual in whatever field they're in. There's like doctors and, you know, fucking like investment bankers and shit. There's like all the nice cars, the fucking Ferraris and shit parked out front. Just because everyone who would get up that early is getting the fuck after it. And like, there's all these old people there that are just slamming weights in their 80s. Like, damn, dude. It's motivating, you know? I like being up early in the morning and going after it. And then it's like, stream isn't something that I like have to wake up and figure out how to get myself situated for. It used to be like when I first started streaming, I was getting... I was streaming... Okay, I was streaming at 10 in the morning, right? Usually about half an hour late. But what I would do, my schedule was get up at 9, shower very quickly. So I'd like be 20 minutes later, I'm out of bed and good. Turn on my computer and play World of Warcraft for half an hour before starting my stream. And then I'd be up till 2 or 3 a.m. playing video games as well. It was great, dude. But it was a little hard to, you know, oh my God, what did I do? There we go. A little hard to, you know, to find a routine like that. So I'm kind of glad that I don't do that anymore, right? In 15 years, Baby Blair will say, my dad was totally embarrassing nerd. In 35 years, he'll say my dad was the greatest. End of sentence. Dude, I hope I'm my little guy's, like, role model for at least 5 years. If he can, at least, for until he's, like, at 6, maybe, if he can, if I can maintain the illusion that I'm a competent human being for him until he's smart enough to figure out I'm not, that would be great. That'd be great, honestly. That'd be really fantastic. I'd love that. That's all I can ask for. You know? What else as a parent can you want from your little ones? You just sleep schedule in increments, or you just decide I'm gonna start waking up 4 hours earlier? It was a rip the band-aid off type thing. It was just one day. It was just do it, you know? Cause it was the kind of thing where it's like, if I wanted to, I mean, kind of, maybe it was like a big adjustment, and then I slowly pushed it back, because I think it was going from 9 till about 6:30 a.m. And then I would get to the gym by 7, do a little workout, be home by 8:30, get to whatever, and da-da-da-da-da. And then I could stream, and that was the big adjustment that really felt the best. But getting home at around 8, in between me and the gym, there's a school, and around 8, it's miserable to try and get through, right? Or you have to get on the highway and go around and whatever. And that's also miserable at 8 in the morning because people are going to work. So I was like, well, fuck it. If I could be up an extra half hour early, and then I could be home a half hour early, then I'm not coming home at 8. I'm coming home at 7:30 or whatever. So I moved it forward a little bit. So it was a big jump and then a little bit pushing it forward to get it where it is now. But I think it's great, honestly. It's like I can do a lot in the morning before I have to like be anywhere, before there's any appointments or meetings or stream or whatever. That's like the main thing, is to have all that time. And then also with baby, it's like for the first little bit when he was waking up every, 2 or 3 hours like they do, it was nice because Ella could kind of be up with him later, and then I could be up with him a little bit earlier, and I could feed him and stuff before I go to the gym. And that worked out really well too. Now he kind of sleeps in a little bit. Like, he's definitely sleeping way better. Like, when you're in the throes of the newborn phase, Brooklyn, remember, it gets better very quickly. Won't feel like it does, but the sleep thing is like awful, 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 and then, oh, they're actually okay. It's not like a gradual change. It's like one day they just decide, oh, okay, all right, cool. And you're like, damn, that was easy. Damn, what was everyone complaining about, man? That was easy as shit. So there was like an adjustment for that for when he was born, and then now it's kind of another adjustment for that. Gives you hope? Oh yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It is so much easier than people make it out to be. We're gonna do some designs based on the sword, I think. We'll do some elevated versions of that. Or I'll just LARP like I know what I'm doing for this character design, and we'll figure that out. I love when I like think I've measured something and I start trying to draw something in perspective on it, and I realize I didn't know what I was doing the entire time. Twitch doesn't work on Opera GX right now. Really? Is Opera GX the one with the anime girl like mascot or whatever, streamer or something shit? Opera Chan? I've heard things about Opera. I've heard good and bad things. I hear it's the gaming browser, but I don't know what that means. It's just not full of bloat and bullshit. All right. All right. But, you know, also when baby was born, Ella also did a very good job at trying to protect my sleep. Because we sort of figured out early on that if I could go conquer the world and clean the house and go fight the kitchen and make dinner and I could do all that stuff, but I was well rested, that we were both better off for it. So Ella, even today, Ella really tries hard to make it so that I don't like wake up or some shit during the night. I like woke up and fed baby once. He's starting teething now, so he's like he's fussing a little bit more. He's like up maybe twice or 3 times at night, which isn't bad at all because it's a very short wake window. Like he's up, hungry, bottle, 5-10 minutes, back to sleep. So, but he's just up more because he's also going through growth spurts, so he's like wanting to eat more. But I was up with him once, but like Ella tries her hardest to make sure I like do not wake up at all at night, which is really nice. For like, there's like 2 main reasons for that. The first is like because genetically, biologically, whatever, there's like, it's like easier for women postpartum to wake up than it is for men for some reason or whatever, theoretically. And she finds that that's true for her, and I find that's true for me, being very hard. And then also Ella is just a bit of a night owl anyway, so she's like okay with it. And we figured that out pretty early, and people were all like mad at her. They're like, I can't believe you let that lazy sack of shit husband of yours sleep. And she's like, you mean that lazy sack of shit husband of mine that's cooking and cleaning for me all day? They're like, oh, well, still, fuck him. That worked out really well for us, I think. And now, if I like wake up early to go to the gym or whatever, Ella's just sleeping, usually still asleep when I get home. Unless she comes to the gym with me on some days, early, which has been getting easier for her. And it's fun too, man, you know? You both get to the gym early. They have a little, like, you know, place where you can work out with your baby strapped to you. It's fun, man. That's like one of the things that I wish somebody had told me when our baby was born. Go to the gym anyway. Just strap him to you. Go lift weights. There's no rule against not having a baby attached to you when you're at the gym. Yeah, it's just like you never see it before, so I just assumed it wasn't a thing. And then I did it. People were like, "That's fucking genius, man. That's fucking genius, bro." I kind of wish I had gotten on that earlier. People are so weird with their assumptions of what marriage should be like. Yeah, I think so. But like that's kind of something that Elle and I have always been. Like we have always been a bit of the non-standard in a lot of ways. And so it just like stopped coming up, right? Like when we were teenagers and we were dating, we were told we were like spending too much time together or whatever and all this stuff, and it was unhealthy and blah blah blah. You know, and then when we were adults, we were told like, oh, well, you're getting married too young and doing this and that, and whatever. Like we were always told that like we were not standard in some way. And it was like annoying, right? And then it just kind of goes away because people just kind of don't give a shit at a certain point in time. But then a lot of those assumptions, Legion, come back when you like have the baby and people are like, oh, well, this is what you got to do or whatever. And it's like, man, you know, like people being like, oh, like one of Ella's friends was talking about us having, when she was pregnant, about us having baby boy, and one of her D&D players was like, "Oh, I guess he's gonna have to, like, I guess they're gonna have to get real jobs now. They can't make dice and be an artist and stuff with a family, you know." Or we've had people like family be like, "Okay, so you got to get rid of all like the video games and swords off your wall." Fair enough on the swords. You got to get rid of all the video games, and you can't have all the figures, and you can't have all the posters and stuff and the comic books, because you're gonna have like you need to like create a good solid like family, like an environment to raise a family in. What the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about? You know, and like that, they would never come up. People wouldn't be judgmental about how we have our home or what we choose to decorate or what we choose to do, until then baby comes along. It's like, oh, like somebody did actually say like, oh, I guess you're never gonna play D&D again. You're like, what? Well, yeah, that game's for like, you know, kids and young adults that don't have responsibilities. I'm like, shit, like all the people I know that play D&D more than me are older than me. What the? Oh shit. Oh damn it. Why would all that stuff need to go away? I don't know. Perceptions, I guess. Something weird like that. Has mascot. I know it's more of a gamer centric, but it's just chrome with a new coat of paint. Is it really? But there is an opera VTuber, I think. Maybe I'm thinking of a different VTuber. Oh, fuck yeah. GX Aura. Yeah, here you go, Soul. There she is. GX Aura-chan. Let's go. What a fucking power move having a VTuber for your web browser. The gaming browser. I think that's kind of sick, to be honest, you know? Fuck it, man. I think Firefox should hire a VTuber mascot as well. Right? I'm so determined to keep up with the workout routine after baby is born. I'm also a group exercise instructor, so it's literally my job. Anyways, so that helps. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. That's amazing. I think that's you are not gonna know ahead of time what the challenge specifically is going to be with maintaining that routine, but all you need is that resolve to say, fuck it, I'm not gonna let this thing slip away, or that thing slip away, or whatever. You know, it's kind of like it's gonna sound stupid, but one of the things when I was really having a hard time right before our baby was born, I was like, I am not gonna stop playing video games. And it's like, that's like a weird arbitrary thing to just decide that like that's an important value in your life. But there is a part of me that's like, if I let go of too many things because too much responsibility stacks up in my life, I'm gonna lose the parts of being a part of this whole artistic endeavor that make me want to be part of this artistic endeavor. And so like you might say like, oh, D&D, how can you give D&D and not video games? D&D is something that I love doing, but video games for me are a thing that is completely removed from the work. Right? Like when I'm running a D&D campaign, there's still a part of me somewhere deep down that's thinking like I'm kind of building things for Eldara and whatever. And so that's why Elle and I both got Switch 2s. Is so we could figure out a way to still be able to sit down at the end of the night and play video games for a couple of hours together, because that's been a core component of who we've been since we were teenagers. We have ended our days by sitting down together, opening up a fucking A&W root beer zero sugar, cracking that shit and playing some video games, even if that's not for, you know, an entire evening. It's just for a couple of hours a couple times a week. That's important, and I think that's really good, is to have to be resolved that there are certain things that you are going to like figure out a way through, you know. So that's really that's important, I think. I don't know. You said it before, but it feels like worst part of folks having kids is finding exactly who your friends are and who are just friends of convenience. Once you're no longer convenient for them, they're gone. Yeah, that's a crazy thing to happen, right? But it's tough, but it happens, you know. Never want to do that to any friend. We've had friends have kids, and we are all for being there for them, working around the schedule, or just being there to hang out with them and the child. Yeah, I mean, that's great. Honestly, I'd love to hear it. We definitely lost friends. We definitely lost some friends over baby. But I think the more into like the nerd sector you are, the more that will happen. And why is that more in the nerd sector? Because I like all my kind of like normie friends, when you tell them you're having a kid, they're like, that's amazing, congratulations, dude. But then when you tell the nerds, there's a much higher % chance that they're like, whoa, that's crazy. Why would you? We can't be friends anymore, because how could you bring a child into the world when, I don't know, AI is gonna make sure he doesn't have a job or whatever their fucking problem is. I noticed it very specifically with the convention and nerd crowd that should happen with. None of the normie friends, right? So it's a weird thing to happen, and I hope other new parents don't have to go through that, because it's really jarring, man. But you do figure out who your real friends are, definitely, absolutely. Because also your real friends check in on you, you know? Like if you don't, like your real friends are the ones that understand that when you are in the newborn stage that you are never going to remember to send them a message, and they will still send you a message every couple of days. Checking in on you, sending you a meme, not asking anything of you, right? Like there's definitely people who it's like, who I would see a DM from them and it's like, oh, fuck, I don't have the time for this, because I know they want something from me. Like, hey, can you look at this? What do you think of that? Can you tell me what I should do about this? And then you have the other friends that, you know, when you open their message at 3 a.m. because you're sitting there feeding a baby and you got your phone out, that you know it's going to be a stupid meme or something interesting that you want to like look at or whatever. That's the real shit. Like, that's some good shit right there. Knowing how to be a good friend to somebody who's making that big change in their life, that's a skill, Soul. So cheers to you for knowing how to do that, bro. Good to see a cow. Good to see a Thorkin. Things you have to put away for a while are those they can climb on and hurt, but that hasn't got to do anything with swords, including things like nice glasses on the couch or open display cabinets. Yeah, right. Ella's like, oh no, my Gundams. What if he thinks my Gundams are toys that he can play with? I'm like, they kind of look like toys that you can play with, so maybe we'll have to put those away for a bit or some shit. I don't know. I think we'll probably have like an office space, like this room will be just off limits, you know, unsupervised. Like, obviously I want it to be the coolest room in the house that, you know, baby boy can come in and experience the wondrous stories that inspired me into becoming an artist and a creative. And I want him to have all those experiences too, but then ultimately with supervision, because I don't want him hurting himself on a sword hanging on the fucking wall or something like that, you know, like that. That's maybe the swords are the one that I look at and I'm like, okay. All right, that one needs to, you know. The Goddess of Stories, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Good to see you. Once pulled a fish tank down on myself, kids will try and climb anything. Yeah, and there's a certain portion of that you just can't prevent, right? You just gotta go with the flow. You gotta go with the flow. There's going to be acceptable collateral damage, you know. What are you working on today, Thorkin? I have decided that since nobody asks me to draw paladins anymore, all I draw are hot tiefling bards and shit recently. Like I swear to God, the only characters I've been drawing for the last 4 months are just hot tiefling bards. That might be the only character I've drawn in the last 4 months, but that's past the point. So we're doing an updated version of my Ashy of Heart art for Ashy for this year, which I haven't done an update in a while, and I think there's gonna be some changes on her end with her channel soon. So I want to have some updated art for when those changes go live. If maybe they've already gone live and I'm just a bad friend because I'm, you know, still in the throes of baby and I didn't even realize that maybe she had a big debut and shit and is a massive fucking corpo streamer working for HoloNet Live, whatever, fucking 10 cent or some shit, and I'm just way behind. But if that's not the case, then that's fine too. Quincy, dude, what's up? I am doing fantastically, my friend. How are you? It's good to see you, buddy. I'm Quincy. I was talking about the project yesterday a little bit, and it's super fun to see it out and, like, you know, in the world and stuff. So congratulations, man. Seriously, it was so cool doing stuff with you. Like, I'm over the moon about it. I'm super excited to get my copy and all that. But yeah, man, life's good now. We're back in it. Baby's out of the hospital. Wife is in good shape. Baby's in good shape. I'm drawing hot paladins again. You know, right? The only thing I got to figure out is actually when and how I can show off the sketches and stuff. You know, once everyone gets their hands on it, I can finally feel relief. It was an honor to have you bring my characters to life, dude. The honor is all mine. Your humility is greatly admired, but come on, dude. The honor is all mine. I also got to get approval to send you some prints and stuff for it. I got to figure out who I got to ask about that. But, you know, part of the process is I gotta send prints whenever I finish a character for somebody. So I gotta mail those off, man, as soon as I can. I don't even know who I get approval from to make a print for you. I'm not sure if I even do or if I'm overthinking it, you know. But I want to make sure I go through it right. But oh man, I can finally, you approve? All right, fuck it. Yeah, I'm gonna send you some shit then. Screw it. All right. Hell yeah. I'll mail you all the prints for everybody. I'll make them on my printing spree this week while I make all the prints for the next season of conventions, or the fall season of conventions. Hell yeah. Do you want, like, Quincy, do you want big or small prints for the characters? Do you want like unironically, we got big prints and we got small prints, like 13 by 19 or bigger. At 8.5 by 11. They'll just send you the myriad of sizes. You decide what you want and just throw the rest of them out of the window or some shit. Oh, that's the coolest thing, man. That was so much fun. All right. Oh, I also got to make a print for Brooklyn of her bard. I forgot about this. I also remember when I said last night, or at the end of stream, that I would finish the magic effect last night. Ha! Joke's on you. Of course I fucking didn't. So we gotta do that later today. Maybe we'll make the print for Brooklyn while I'm streaming today. Maybe we'll like trying to finish this off, and the prints take about, I think, a half hour each for the big ones. So, and I think Brooklyn said she wanted a big one. I can't remember. I'm just gonna do both, cause screw it. Addie's something special. Love the idea of being 8.5 by 11. I might take them and put them up in shaped frames to be all Victorian and fancy. Got it. Got it. Okay. I can do it. I can do it. Easy. Easy. I'll send you a message and figure out where your PO box and all that is, and we'll get it in your hands. I think also Ella made you some dice, actually, Quincy. Ella made you, I don't know if I told you that she was planning on doing this, but she made you a set of dice for each of the 3 main characters for Locke, Crystal, and Quincy. As a little, you know, a little passion fan art project type thing, which is kind of fun. But yeah, she did that while she was just before she took her like break with everything. So I'll send you those as well, my friend, and hopefully they will bring you at least some luck. I'm not going to say her dice are weighted or, you know, enchanted or whatever. Come on. Come on. Say Discord and we shall get those deets worked out. Gotcha, bro. Gotcha. I'm so excited, man. I'm thinking, darn, I should have backed this, but when I went into Kickstarter, I see that I already did. Obviously, probably I can't remember all the things I backed. Yo, Steve, if you want me to sign the art pieces on the book, yo, just let me know next time you're in town, bro, and you stop by for EldarCon. I'll just real quick, you know, I'll be very busy, and you know, because now I'm a published artist with Catalyst Game Labs, and you know, that's the coolest fucking thing ever. Now that I'm a big deal, I'll take some time for you, bro, but I'm so excited to get my copy, man. It's not even funny. Got some art prints from a cool D&D themed artist recently. Frames are on the way, so I'm thinking once I'm able, I'll be looking for commissioning something. Well, listen, my coffee commissions are going to be open. I promised Sabine yesterday in chat. I promised Sabine that I would have them open this weekend. I wanted to finish a couple of things, and then I promised Sabine that I would open commissions. Now, is this me promising Sabine because Sabine wanted to commission something? Absolutely not. This was me promising so that I have a reason to actually remember to do it, you know, because if I don't right now, I'll just forget. I'll just pick up my Switch and start, you know, mining rocks in Pocopia, and then I'll just forget what I was. Oh shit, damn it, fuck, shit, sorry. I just got distracted again. Alright, we're good, promise. Promise, I'm not turning into a Pocopia streamer yet. Gotta work, try to pop back in later. Happy streaming, Brooklyn. I will see you later. I will see you later, and hopefully have cool stuff to deliver you later anyway. No self-commissions before Sabine to steal the slot. Holy. Commission slot thievery in the guild? In my guild? What? I forgot I have our Dragonborn option. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, why not? Screw it. I'll try you Dragonborn, Legion. Hell yeah. You want Dragonborn? I got you. Yeah, why not? Dude, I can't wait to show off all the like, I can't wait for everybody to see the innkeepers I did for Quincy, because like I actually got to flex a little bit of my rage with the innkeepers, which felt really good. You know, everybody just wants a hot, like, you know, tiefling or whatever. Nobody asks me to draw grandmotherly old hags and shit. So I got to flex some range. I get to show off a little bit. I was happy about that. So yes, Dragonborn for you 100% anytime. He's a good boy. Okay, good. What class is he, Legion? Tell me of your good boy. Will I draw my hot paladin? Shit, not again. Also decide if I want to request Vesper, my upcoming roguelock. Oh my god. Oh my god. To go back into the mindset, state that I had to get into to draw Vesper, I'm gonna have to start going out into the forest and collecting twigs and shit. Like, to try and really understand who Vesper is as a character. Sabine, I went out and started, like, I bought an entire Wiccan book and started casting spells and shit for like a week. Like to do my research properly for Vesper, I had to get a bead curtain. Like, do you know how serious that is? When you go out to the thrift store and get a bead curtain just to get in the mindset of a character? Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, dude. I gotta do all that again. Oh man, you guys are gonna lose me. Although Roguelock does sound cool as well. Don't have an idea what to commission. Maybe my cool Blood Hunter character, a Scottish flair, or a couple's shot of him and my wife's Grave Cleric. Honestly, I will be honest. I will be forthright with you guys. I always am. Ish. No one has requested a Blood Hunter yet. There are 2 classes that no one has ever requested. 1, Blood Hunter, and 2, Artificer. No one has ever requested a Blood Hunter or Artificer. So, you know. See, the Dragonborn I've got in mind is NPC for my homebrew. His name is Orenthus Breedrow, and he is a silver Dragonborn druid. He's an advisor to the King the King of Astervale. Ooh, okay, Astervale. Yeah, I'm very familiar with this place. In matters of the old gods, and a lovely bard he had secret feelings for is trapped in eternal slumber. Well, that sounds cool. Does Alistair from my campaign count? He is a Blood Hunter. I'm not questioning if that's true. I'm questioning if I just forgot that. Or if I didn't know that when I was drawing. No, I knew that when I was drawing him. Okay. I guess, okay, so no one's ever requested a full character design of a Blood Hunter. And no one's requested a full character design or a, because you're right. Yeah, that absolutely does count. And of course you're right. This is your campaign. I'm just trying to think if anyone's requested a portrait of a tinkerer, or an artificer, but no. Artificer is one that I've never done in any form. And then, like, for a D&D campaign. And then the Blood Hunter, I think I've never done a full body version of Blood Hunter. Actually, you know what's weird? Althorp's an artificer too. Okay, but I never actually finished like a big portrait for Althor. That was a very quick sketch, okay? That wasn't a requested full thing. I owe you a much greater piece of art than what I did for Althor, if I'm gonna count that. What have I not done yet? What the fuck have I not done yet? I've done a couple of barbarians. Not many barbarians, I will say. Barbarian is one of the least requested character class. I've done a number of bards, which are really fun. I've done a couple of clerics, which are actually really great. Like, as much as I shit on clerics because it's a long-running joke, honestly, drawing clerics is really, really fun. I've done a couple of druids. Not many druids, though. Almost nobody requests a fighter. Fighter and barbarian might be as rare as each other. Monk, I've done not many monks either. A bunch of paladins, a bunch of rangers. I've done a bunch of non-standard rangers too. A lot of people have asked me for rangers that don't use bows, which is really interesting. Rogues actually, weirdly, rogue is another one that nobody requests. Like, when was the last time I drew a rogue for somebody? I think the last time I did a rogue for somebody was literally this character Aoife like 4 years ago. Right? I think this is literally the last time I drew a rogue for somebody. Yeah, Fox's character. Yeah, Thorkin. This is what I drew for her. That's like probably the last time I did a rogue for anybody. Sorcerer. So I don't necessarily remember when somebody asked me for a sorcerer versus a wizard, but I can tell you it's been almost no sorcerers. Every spellcaster I do is almost always a warlock or wizard, like traditional spellcaster, and then 0% artificers. Actually, that's not true. I did an artificer for a giveaway for Mandari. Oh no, it was an artificer. He was a homebrew tinker. Okay, actually, never mind. Right? I was like, oh, I've done one artificer. It's been like 6 years. Nope, that was an artificer. Because he was. I remember the person said he's like an artificer, but it's a homebrew class. But he has artificer-like vibes. So nobody. Yeah, artificer's the one that is still the. And then I guess Bloodhunter's just not on here because it's just core D&D stuff. So yeah, full character design for Bloodhunter. Haven't done that before. And a design either way for an artificer. So, and I think of the other classes besides those, the least drawn one I think weirdly is rogue. Because like, I love drawing rogues with the vibe of I want to be sharp. Like if somebody asks me for a rogue and they don't want to have when somebody asks me for a rogue, the next time somebody asks me for a rogue, I'm going to ask them to roll a D100 for daggers. Maybe a D20. Let's not be crazy. D100 could be absurd. Let's say roll a D20 for daggers. And I'm just going to put that many daggers in the character. You roll a natural 20, you get critical daggers. You just have daggers everywhere. I don't care, man. You know? Like, who's the drow or elf or whatever from Wayne Reynolds from Pathfinder? Pathfinder rogue. She's a specific character, right? Yeah, this character. Like the Wayne Reynolds rogue vibes. That's what I will need to apply whenever somebody asks me for a rogue. You know, because she's only got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 daggers I can see and a sword. That's not enough daggers.
Roll a D100 plus 40
That's
for
okay.
minimum belts on an EBA character.
Okay, all right. If you want to roll a D100 for belts, you know, hey, that's fine. But Devil's Advocate, the rogueluck is a noble that I'm debating adopting a snooty French accent for. I think it's a great idea, but instead of a snooty French accent, you should do a Montreal, Quebec accent. You know. Is anyone gonna know the difference? Not really. So you can just yell at refs in hockey games better. 21 daggers, 2 little daggers, yeah. I'd say about 20 daggers, some on the surface, some on the towers. As a person to have too low of int to play non-martial characters. Damn. It's surprising you never asked me to draw you a barbarian penguin, because, you know. Got a rogue needs some loves. Hard to choose. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm hoping that for Addie, I'm hoping that because Brooklyn is the first person to support me at this tier on Coffee, well, not support me, but to order a blind commission of a full body character. I hope that with Addie, I can inspire confidence for people, that they know that when they ask me to draw a full character design on Coffee, that they know it's going to be overly detailed and have shit on all over it that wasn't requested by the client and honestly isn't even appreciated at this point in time. Just an absolute cacophony of nonsense, of extra belts, of daggers, of baubles and gems. I just hope desperately that that's their vibe. And if it isn't, oh boy, you asked the wrong person to draw your character for you. You definitely should have asked somebody else. Yep. Yep. I actually had somebody at the Ren Fair ask me if I did historically accurate commissions. What do you mean? They're like, I want like I have a D&D game that's historically accurate. Like, how historically accurate? They're like, well, there's no magic and there's only humans and all the armor and clothing is period correct. And I said, honestly, that sounds awesome. I don't think I'm your guy. I don't think I'm your guy. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't. I'm sorry. You deserve to have the character that you want. And with that description, I am not the person to assist you with this. And they looked disappointed, but I had to be honest with them. I had to. I couldn't let them ask me for a historically period accurate Lochaber axe with, like, I don't know, 12th century English armor, gambeson, Germanic dudes or dudes with Germanic tights on fighting each other with their big swords above their head, all weird, like, you know. I just don't think I'm the artist for them. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. I just don't think I'm the guy that can do it. So, dude, beautiful art. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you to say. Seriously. Thank you. Request style without references. Yeah, no, I wouldn't guess so. Yeah, right. I don't know, man. Maybe I just need to expand my my capabilities. Expand the possibilities. Become the artist I've always been destined to be. A historical European martial arts HEMA kind of guy. Let's change something up here real quick, because I want to reference the old art a little bit. Change your pauldron up entirely and completely. Oh shit, I should be recording process. Damn it. Where's the button? Where is it? Oh, do I have space on my hard drive? Because that was a problem last time. Properties. I definitely do this time. Let's go. All right. Start recording. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. All right. I'm gonna go a little weird on this one. More ornate nonsense to hang off of her character design. More BS that she didn't ask for. That's okay. Because it'll look cool in the end, you know? Which is half the battle, as it were. Okay. I don't know if we'll do this one in color, though. I think I'm gonna stick with a black and white sketch thing for the next round of fan art pieces that I do for my friends. There's something about it that I like more in the color. I know the VTubers always like it, their character designs in color, because it's like half of their identity, but I don't know. There's something nice about it just being kind of old school. It fits in with the whole D&D vibe that I'm going for, you know? That was something somebody said at Ren Fair, though. They're like, wow, your art definitely looks like it's like meant for D&D. I was like, damn, okay, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. But like a number of times, someone would come up and see some of my prints, and they would say to like somebody else what they're with, like, "Oh, I know this. I know this is from something. I don't know what it is from, but I recognize this is from some game I played or something." I'm like, "Oh, really? Oh yeah, okay." You know, big agree. Yeah, thanks, dude. Unless she's gonna slay the dragon, she's gonna try. It happens a lot, honestly, with the environments. People would be like, "Oh, is this from Zelda?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "No, this is from Zelda, dude." And like, I looked it up. I don't understand, because I was looking through some of the Breath of the Wild like art books that I have, or Zelda art books I have. I think I have Breath of the Wild and maybe Tears of the Kingdom or something. Like, I definitely have the new ones, or one of the new ones. I forget which one. But I have not played those games yet. I tried playing Breath of the Wild, and I don't want to say it's a bad game, because it's like people lose their mind over it, and like IGN put it as perfect 10, and I'm sure it's a great game, but it hit at a time where I was not into it for some reason, and I was like, this is the most boring, dumb shit I've ever played, and I put it down. And I know that if I go back to it at some point in time when I'm like ready for a Zelda adventure, I'm sure it'll be a great game and I'll love it. But I never actually played through them, and I've heard people say a lot that it is that, like, "Oh, your art looks like it's from Zelda." But like I've scanned the art books. I don't know what the like runes that I draw are referencing. Like, is it just because in Zelda there are also ancient runes? Is that the extent of the, you know, the comparison, but that's good enough? I don't know. Or if it's like there's like giant ring runes all around the world that you have to go explore some shit that I'm like inadvertently ripping off. That's one of the parts that I'm not entirely sure about. But either way, people are very determined to insist upon the fact that it is from a video game that they know, which is kind of funny, you know? And why people insist on stuff like that. I cosplay Rosa from Final Fantasy IV. When I wear that cosplay, I get a lot of people insisting, not asking, if I'm Princess Zelda. Hold on, who is this? Rosa. I would look up your cosplay, but of her specifically, just to see how close. Okay. Dude, that's so sick. Like, that's an insanely good character design. Okay, I see why they would say that. I see why they would say that, because I'm trying to remove brain cells to just try and find any pattern, right? And I think that's what it is. Like, you see some kind of pattern, and you are determined to say that that's what it is, you know? What's up, Nick? Good to see you, buddy. How you doing? Yeah, okay, fair enough. I think it is just the pattern. Like, I should know more. I should I should know better, because that kind of pattern recognition was taught to us extensively at the first like graphic design company that I like, the first job I had as a designer. We were taught extensively about basically manipulating people's pattern recognition to make themselves think they're clever. Like, it's actually kind of an insulting, like, if you think about why people, like, the logic behind it, it's actually pretty insulting to people, honestly. But it's one of those things that's, like, unfortunately true. The desire to feel clever, to recognize a pattern, think that you are somehow smart or clever because you know, you've identified the puzzle, you solved it. I just wouldn't have thought that would happen with, like, art that doesn't have anything to do with somebody, or like a cosplay. You see painted style and relate to the way Breath of the Wild looks. I mean, if I search Breath of the Wild ruins, is it that they don't experience fantasy very much, or sci-fi and fantasy art, and so they think that when they see like any kind of ruins or monoliths with sort of like green grass and a blue sky, that it has to be from Breath of the Wild? That's like, if I'm like, again, trying to shed brain cells at an astonishing rate to try and figure out why, I think that might just be it. This kind of like open but optimistic color palette they chose. Blue skies, green grass, life abundant, but also an old world that has the skeletal fragments of an ancient. Like, I think maybe we're going for the similar vibes. Oh, wait, there's a ring. There's a ring. Wait. I see a ring. Is this it? Is this the one? Is this the ring that they see and they assume that it's... Is that it? Is that the culprit? Damn. Did we find it? I think we might have solved the case. Might have solved it. Today I'll make a Ecliptor cosplay. Holston, what is Ecliptor from? I am unfamiliar. Oh my god. Is that the legendary, is the virtuous, the illustrious Mandari? Holy, what's up, Faye? How you doing? Thank you for considering me your Prime option this month. What's up, dude? Good to see you, Faye. Oh man, my oldest and dearest friend on this platform. Virtuous, yeah, you heard me. Villain from Power Rangers. Oh, okay. I am not familiar with Power Rangers even the slightest, so I don't even know what the character design looks like, but I know that Power Rangers costumes are absurd, and a cosplay for that character sounds like it would be exhausting to make. There'd be a lot of 3D printed armor and accessories and gear probably to go on, so that sounds like an ambitious project. Is that leap from This Reminds Me of to It Must Be This? Yes, I think you're right. I think you're right. Miss Evan whining about not having anyone play D&D with in the middle of the day earlier. That's true. I was actually. That's definitely a thing that happened. For real? Yeah, actually though, right? I'm not even lying about that. Don't know shit about it. Whining, complaining. That's all I did for like the first 20 minutes. Like, I hear my little guy crying downstairs about nothing, and I'm upstairs crying about upstairs crying about nothing to you guys. So we're basically like hard twinning on that. Had some EBA shit in a while at Gen Con this year, you know? That was cool, man. Yeah. With Dungeon Master, Atari running it. Is that what it was? Was it Atari's game? The Ancient Realms of Eldara? I really want to go to Gen Con one of the years, man. I really want to go to Gen Con. I want to see it once before it gets like... Before it's so bad that nobody wants to go to it anymore. Because anytime I was talking to people at like GameCon this year, almost nobody had anything good to say about Gen Con. Like how it's just getting too big for its own good and whatever. So I want to go see it at least once before it's like not a thing anymore, you know? Before it E3s its way out of existence. If it ever can. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a possibility. But I at least want to go see it while it's still cool. Last minute I saw it on a placard at a table. No one was there at the time though, so I didn't see anyone personally. Oh, fair enough. Well, it could have been. I know there's a couple people doing some nonsense there, but it's probably Atari's table. That's funny, man. That's hilarious. I hope it reminded you of my desperate desire to create a one-on-one D&D game called Mendy versus Bendy. Ella's like calling me about groceries. I'm like, oh, I'm streaming, right? She's like, oh yeah, I forgot you do that now. It's been so long that, you know.
Honestly, Gen Con is turning into a networking luncheon for me, lol XD.
I mean, hey, there you go, right? There you go. I can network. But I can network with all the people I want to network with at GameCon. You know? Like, who do I got to network with at Gen Con? What, Mendari? What do you mean? Bro, I'll go the entire convention. I won't be able to see her. I'll be like, oh shit. It's just because I didn't look down. I didn't realize she was sitting there talking to me the whole time, and I had no idea. I just wasn't looking down far enough. Crazy. Just insanity of an event, really.
You got me,
you know?
buddy, D and Atari.
There you go. It is the networking con. Okay, fair enough. Well, the problem is, Faye, I don't network. Like, what do I mean, come on.
Oh,
why do you get the rare spawn?
Paladin, it's the lip scar.
What?
Oh.
Okay. All right. I mean, really, what would I need to network for? Because, like, realistically, what is the end goal? To get published by Catalyst Game Labs and do the character art for your favorite creator online, Quincy's Tavern? I mean, I already got that. What do I need to network for? What do I need to do? Okay, I'm done. It was just because he was here earlier. All right, listen. I'm done. I swear to God. You did the art for Quincy? That's awesome. Oh yeah, didn't you know that? I thought I posted about it. Yeah, no, I did the characters for that. So yeah, dude, it was really cool. Quincy's the best person. Like just every stat you could roll for being a person, Quincy's just the best of all of it. That was the coolest fucking thing. I couldn't talk about it for so long, like publicly, because NDA. But then when it finally like Kickstarter launched, and I could actually like reveal why I fucking disappeared for a month. Everybody thought that when I disappeared for a month in January, it was just because baby was on the way. And I'm like, nope, just in the tank, doing like 20 pieces of art. Yeah, I met Quincy networking at Gen Con. Oh shit. Damn. You network to get into a D&D campaign of fellow early morning sessioners. That's true. Maybe I need to start like a new pair. Like, you know, I mean, they have at theaters in Calgary where I live close to. They have this like thing on weekdays, 1 weekday a week, where it's called like Starlight and Strollers or something. But they basically have a movie that you can go see, and then in the fancy theaters, and they put subtitles on the screen. It's a lot quieter, and everyone can bring their kids, and no one's gonna get mad if your kid's screaming because someone else's kid is gonna be screaming too. And so it's like meant to be like a shitty movie experience that you can still go to as a new parent. I should do that with D&D. You know, I should do that with the little guy. Well, he's not fucking little anymore. Never mind. I don't think I've showed him on stream for a while because I haven't been live, but he's a big boy now. Like, he's a chonker. He's kind of a large baby. But yeah, I could do like a sorry to hear you had a child and had to leave your D&D campaign. So here's a morning campaign to join type game. That's what I should do. And I'll call it Dungeon Daddies. Wait, shit. Nope. I'll call it Dungeon Dad. Nope. Shit. I'll figure out a name for it later. So, small burping baby. Yeah, I don't know about if he's small. Just 'cause it went so well. Talked about just like last year that downfall happened with PAX Prime West. It could happen. Oh, you think so? Did PAX have a big like collapse or something? Did it like dissolve at some point? Does everyone decide they're not going to PAX anymore? Is PAX no longer the cool convention? Are fan expos at that point yet? I think fan expo might be there, where everyone decides they're not doing fan expos anymore. Where we might be very close to that, as far as I'm aware of. We'll be approaching that rapidly. Actually, one sec. I'm gonna grab a new water, and I'm gonna check on baby boy as well. And maybe I'll bring him up. Maybe I'll bring him up if he's in a good mood. I'll bring him up. Let him say hi to the stream. Okay, one sec. Man. Man, he's a growing boy. Oh, hey, buddy. Hey, bud. That's a fuck the headphones. That's a big boy right there. That's a 19 pounder. This right here, this onesie, this clothing, this is 9 to 12 month clothing. This is 9 to 12 month clothing for little guy. So he is not a little guy anymore. Like, I wish I could say. I wish I could say he's a little guy, but no. He's still don't know what class he is. Mama insists that he's gonna be a paladin, but I don't know. If he's still aggressively teething the way he is, then he'll definitely be a barbarian. Oh, hey bud. Hey bungle butt. You hanging out with grandma downstairs? My mom came over to watch him while Ella went out and did some stuff and while I'm streaming, so he's been having a good morning with grandma. I go downstairs, they're just watching World of Warcraft videos on the TV. I'm like, okay, sick. Hey, bud. Look at this handsome little head right here. Look at these little ears, man. Holy. Are you just sucking on your hand? Are you just sucking on your hand? Okay. Okay. Almost 4 months old. Almost. We're getting there. But, yeah, man, he's heavy as shit. He's big. He's heavy, he's chunky, so, oh, hey baby bud. Barbarian start, maybe a sorcerer if he leaves the stinking cloud in his wake, yeah. You ever was Bard? No, come on. Come on, dude. You just sucking that hand, little guy? Okay. Either hungry or teething, or all of the above, because that's what little guy does. So, hey buddy. Maybe I'll just figure out how to draw like this. Just like leave him on my chest and figure out how to. Nope, nope. Get up there. Nope, nope, nope. All right, over the shoulder. Okay, all right, okay. I think we can one-hand this. We can try. No, stop it. No, stay still. Papa needs to draw. Okay, come on. Come on, little guy. All right, okay. Put your head down. Just put your head down. Put your head down and we'll fucking epic the musical your dumbass off a wall, okay? All right, no. Okay. Okay, no more headbutting. No more headbutting, Papa. Okay? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go give this little problem back to my mom. Give her grandbaby back. Let him be her problem. Alright. Say goodbye to stream. Okay, sure. Thanks, little guy. Alright. Only serious D&D related topics now. No more baby nonsense. Serious topics like, hold on, Legion. Why does PAX suck now? Okay, hold on. PAX in Seattle used to be massive and really good, but now there's barely any game demos, releases, announcements. Half the big games companies don't even attend, really. So PAX is like mostly video games then? I thought it was both or whatever. Excuse me. Tickets would literally sell out in minutes every year. Yeah, they don't sell out at all. Oh, Jesus. That's kind of like the last time they did a BlizzCon, right? Last time they did a BlizzCon, the tickets didn't sell out in minutes, which was kind of, you know, not a good thing. Not the greatest sign if you're running a big conventions, I suppose. I wonder how fast the EldaraCon 2027 tickets will sell out. I wonder. Because there's only going to be like 20 of them. You know? And we'll see how fast it takes Sir Cobalt to buy the remaining like 18 so that I can say, oh man, we sold out, right? It could take him a while. You never know. He's got to help me make me look good. It looks like plans for EldaraCon 2027 are actually getting more serious, which is kind of fun. Gotta head out? Alright, Thorkin, be good, buddy. Good luck with the projects you're working on today. Okay, I think we're about ready to start the like actual line work on this. I think we're basically there. We've got all the little nonsense details and everything. All right. Line work layer. I'm trying to reserve one, but the owner won't return my emails. Oh, shit. I don't know. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're busy because they just had a baby, or maybe they're busy because Pokopia was released and they have no good excuse. They're just playing video games all day. I'm sure one of the two is true. I don't know which, though. Originally, there was only one PAX event, but they made other PAX South, East, and PAX Unplugged. Is PAX Unplugged like all board games, or what? Used to be 95% video games, but now they added a lot more tabletop game content to PAX West. Oh, I see. Okay. So they expanded it out in hopes that it would attract the gamer audience to stay with them. Honestly, I've never really wanted to go to any of the big American conventions like Comic-Con or whatever. I'm really not a convention guy, I think. Except for BlizzCon. BlizzCon is just like... I am so upset that BlizzCon this year, I think it's during an event that I have to help Ella with or whatever. But I, like for a good 7 or 8 years, Ella and I went to every single BlizzCon. And now, like, obviously, like, when we were big Blizzard gamers, we're in the ecosystem. Like, I played every single Blizzard game that they had released. Like, all at once. Like, I was playing Overwatch here and there. I was playing Heroes of Storm. I was still playing StarCraft 2 competitively. Obviously, I was playing World of Warcraft a lot. And then Diablo 3 every season I was rolling, you know, for a weekend or whatever. Like, I was completely in the Blizzard ecosystem. And I loved it. Hearthstone, I didn't really play all that much, but, you know, I played it a little bit. And so BlizzCons were it for me, you know. That was like the thing. Why would I do anything else but play Blizzard games? Because it's all there. Your friends list is on there. All of our friends were interested in the same shit. Like, it was great. It was the best. And so we went to every BlizzCon, and like there was stuff and announcements and whatever that was relevant to us, but also got to see all my friends. And I wondered if I would have been like just as excited or enthusiastic about other gaming conventions that were the same size or bigger or whatever. Like, I'd wondered about if PAX is kind of the same thing, if it was the kind of same vibe or whatever. But there was a part of it that seemed... You can tell me if I'm wrong about this. It seemed very mainstream nerd. It's like Gen Con and PAX and those kind of like, and Comic-Con, they seemed like they were less focused, and because of that I felt like the priorities were kind of off. You know, like Fan Expo in Edmonton is actually having a bit of a problem. Which PAX you talking about? Oh, just any of them. You know, just like PAX in general as a convention is like a lot bigger, a lot more mainstream than something like BlizzCon. Right? Like the big cosplayers are not going to BlizzCon. Famous guests are not going to BlizzCon. Everyone went to BlizzCon because you were a loser World of Warcraft raider like me, or you wanted to watch like the best Korean players like play StarCraft against each other or some shit. Right? Like it felt a lot more focused to the thing that I wanted it to be focused on. That's why the Star Wars convention every other year seems like a really good time, because it's focused on like that one thing, you know, even though it is a little more mainstream. But yeah, PAX just kind of felt like it was always like, or Gen Con or whatever, it felt like they were like just kind of like bigger conventions that are just like kind of nerd con. And that's like the big problem that I have with Fan Expo right now. Like Fan Expo in Edmonton is not doing so hot because they aren't able to get guests. Simply because Edmonton doesn't have flights from Los Angeles and stuff direct. And so if you're a big guest, you're not necessarily going to go to Edmonton, because if they don't offer a flight at the time and whatever and the date that works for you, then you're not going to like take a connecting flight to fucking Denver or some shit and travel and make travel more annoying to go to a convention in who asked like Edmonton. So Fan Expo was having a hard time with that, but like that's the main draw of like Fan Expos now. When you're going to NerdCon, you're going to NerdCon because you want to go see the Hobbits or Captain Kirk, or like you want to go see a person, a guest. It seems like that's like who they're trying to attract and who they're trying to like kind of cultivate their audience with. And I don't really enjoy Fan Expo as an experience because of that. Like GameCon, I would go as an attendee. Fan Expos, I wouldn't go unless I was working at them. And like I get to see all my artist friends, and it's great. And Fan Expo is awesome. I love it working as a person. But like I wouldn't travel as an attendee to go to Fan Expo, especially not when there's like a Calgary one. Why would I go to the Edmonton one? That's kind of the logic that I have with it. So I wonder if like the big ones like, you know, PAX or whatever would feel too much of like a general kind of nerd con or whatever. PAX West, in my honest opinion, stayed the game focused consistently, but the size and quality of the event itself has just wildly fluctuated. Oh, okay. Right. Most PAX are predominantly video games. PAX U is specifically tabletop and a lot smaller, but in my opinion, the best con just vibe with tabletop people. Okay. Gen Con is also very focused on tabletop, but I get what you mean to a point. Okay, sure. Yeah, like, honestly, I should probably, responsibly, I should remove Gen Con from that statement, because Gen Con is also focused on something, right? It's not generic nerd con. But like, what my question would be is like, do the big cosplayers go to Gen Con? Because like, I have nothing against cosplayers, all right? Nothing against them whatsoever. You can even use streamers as this, but I wouldn't necessarily want to go to a convention where all the big cosplayers are going to that convention, right? Because that's a convention that's like it's more of an event. It's like an anime expo or whatever, right? It's not focused on necessarily being a convention about a specific thing that you're really into. It's more of a convention focused on just like general nerdcon experience. And that's the stuff that I like really don't do at conventions. I don't do lines to meet somebody for 20 seconds. You know, that's like not the kind of shit that I'm into. So if a convention is like generic nerdcon, where you can buy like blind boxes of merch from One Piece and Funko Pops everywhere, like that's just not my vibe. And I wish it was, because that's like most of the conventions. And so I never really know if, like, I never really understood if PAX was like a focused convention or if PAX was like just nerdcon, you know? Like if Jessica Negri's going to that one or whatever, I don't know who any of the big cosplayers are. I don't even know if she still cosplays, but she was like the big cosplayer when I was like in my 20s or whatever. If like whoever the big cosplayer of the day is going to convention, it's probably not a convention that is, it's probably a convention that's worth their time, which isn't a convention that's focused enough to be something that interests me, if that makes sense. And again, there were still a couple of bigger cosplayers that went to BlizzCon, but they were like Blizzard cosplayers, if that makes sense. They like did mostly Blizzard stuff, and they were just there for the cosplay contest for BlizzCon. So it's a bit different. I don't know if big cosplayers go. I know there's like a cosplay parade on Saturdays. A lot of people do. There's like kids that get to enter. It's not some big competition. That's cool. Okay. Yeah. So fuck yeah, you know. It's hard to describe, but I think you kind of get what I mean by like the vibe. Is the convention to be seen at, or is the convention to actually like go and enjoy and do stuff with? It's kind of like old anime conventions used to be that way. You know, there was a convention in Calgary called Oda Fest. I think there still is, but it used to be like a little like kind of indie anime con where you could like go watch anime or whatever that was like, you know, hard to find or whatever. But before the ubiquity of streaming services kind of came out. But now I'm pretty sure it's just like a place to go get merch. And that's like not it, I don't think. Just feels cosplaying. She isn't as large as she once was, but still around. What's good? There you go. Some things don't change. Like, who's like the big, like, who is the cosplayer of the 2020s? Who is for the next generation of nerds? Who is their Jessica Negri? Who is like the person, the big cosplayer that rattles the world? IDK, okay, yep. Yeah, maybe never mind. I do, and I don't think that any tabletop focus cons are a place to be seen at. Gen Con is getting that way a little, but still most for C-list actors who are trying to find success in a more niche community. Oh no. Ugh, okay. Yeah, all right. Fair enough. Well, yeah, maybe Gen Con is still like focused enough, even if it's huge. I just think that the mechanics of trying to actually sort out how to go to Gen Con are too exhausting. Like trying to figure out how to get a ticket, how to get a hotel, if you want to get a vendor booth, whatever. Like Ella applied to Gen Con and got on their like vendor wait list like 5 years ago. And they said usually by year 3 or 4 you get something. You get like a response or whatever, and she never has. So if she's like invited to Gen Con after 5 years of being on their wait list, you know, then maybe I'll go. But I don't know if I would go to Gen Con to try and figure out like how to go if it was just like for casual interest or whatever. Gen Con vendors is cringe. You think so? Is entities really high on their own supply? I've heard that. Like, don't they kind of own the fucking city now? Don't they just like command new hotels be built and whatever? Is it Indianapolis or Minneapolis or whatever that it's? I don't remember which Apollos Gen Con is in. I think they're high on themselves, have a lot of experience from the vendor side, so like yes, okay. It does sound like a lot, right, Legion? It does sound like a lot, but it'd be fun because like everyone that I like want to go hang out with is usually at Gen Cons. Maybe it's worth the struggle. Literally, yes, Gen Con has affected legislature in Indiana because of its pull. Oh man, that like kind of reminds me. There's an organization in Calgary where I grew up called the Calgary Stampede. And the Calgary Stampede is an event every summer. That's this massive event. It's this massive like Western equestrian rodeo event, huge country music artists. Like it's a big deal. It's always been a big deal. And people travel for it, and it's a good time. Honestly, I will say a lot of native Calgarians are like very negative about it because they're just kind of curmudgeonly and not 25 years old anymore, and that's like fair enough if it's not your thing. I haven't gone to Stampede in like a decade, but I'm never mad at it just because there's a bunch of 25-year-olds at clubs having fun wearing cowboy hats, like, you know, and like kids going to the fair and the Midway and stuff like Stampede's fun. It's fine. It's a good time. But the Stampede, like Calgary Stampede as an organization, has so much pull over the city. They just like command things be built or destroyed or whatever, and the city just does it. So I imagine it's kind of like that, which I can only imagine how exhausting it is for the residents of the city. You know? how tremendously tiresome it is to have some organization come into your city's business and just decide that because they run a thing for 2 weeks of the year, that they get to decide or whatever, dictate how things are going to be built for the rest of the year. What you do Gen Con is if you set up events for your adoring fans to attend that are meet and greets and panel discussions with you as the panel, that way you get a small room off in a hotel for us to hang out in. That's true. That's kind of like what Eldaracon's gonna be though. And it's gonna cost a lot less because it'll be in Canada. So, you know, that's pretty cool. We'll have special guests there. Maybe we'll fly out Mandari for a as a musical guest to perform Just So Many Bats as our closing ceremony. Yo, you know, like at BlizzCon, they're like, oh shit, we got like Blink-182 as our closing ceremony act. We could do that. Said he makes the middle of July time to not head to the center of Calgary. Yeah, if you're trying to avoid the crowds, 100%. But it's fun. Like, it's fun if you got kids and a family, or if you're young. Like, Stampede's a great time, I think. It is a lot, though, definitely. It's exhaustive. So, the majority of Indianapolis' economy is centered around the conventions they host. The real big ones being Gen Con, of course, the Indy 500. Does anything else happen in Indianapolis besides those two? Like, is there any reason to travel to this city outside of NASCAR and board games? Which is a wild combination, by the way. Or from Mel's group, Infinite Citadel, they had their own room to run a mega game in. Oh shit, okay. I wonder if I'm relevant enough to do that yet. Like, how many followers on Instagram do you have to be relevant enough to get Gen Con's attention? I don't think I realized at some point in time that like I ascended to a level of Instagram number that some people on a convention whatever level think is like an interesting enough number. Like is 25? Oh, I thought it was a 25. Okay, well there goes my ego. Is 24,000 like or whatever? Like, is that enough for Gen Con? If I just link them like my Instagram bio and say I have like 25,000 fans that want to come to Gen Con, and I can pull every single one of them to Gen Con with me, that they'll give me a room? Didn't even Couch had a critical role? Okay, I'm fucked. Never mind. Well, it's a cesspool, a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Shit. You believe how much they absolutely do not give a shit about who you are? They won't give you anything? Damn. And then there's GameCon, where like I'm talking to Mark, the like guy who runs GameCon in Canada, and I'm like, yeah man, I got like a bunch of my like friends and followers and stuff that come out to GameCon. It's cool. We're planning on doing this little like convention thing like before GameCon next year, and then like if we can like get a table or something at GameCon to like continue our convention into GameCon and run a D&D game. And he's like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I'll set up a whole thing. We'll have like an area for you guys. We'll have a whole sign. It'll be like a big deal. We'll do this whole shit. Like, fuck yeah, man. You and Ella have been here for years. Like, let's do it, bro. It's like, damn. It's like the old meme of like Starbucks versus kebab vendor. Right? You know, it's like this is the Gen Con versus Game Con. You know, Starbucks employee, fake smile, deliberately spoils your name, wants extra money. Kebab guy, real smile, always calls you boss. He is loyal. Like, this is the most Gen Con versus Game Con ass meme I've seen in my entire life. Right? Like, it's so unbelievably true. Game Con Canada is the kebab guy of tabletop gaming conventions. Man, I gotta send that to them or whatever. GameCon is completely different because they don't want their creators to promote the con. Gen Con is very, we don't need you. But they want their creators, they don't need you. If you want to host an event, pay us and we'll also get a cut of the ticket sales. Right. Yeah, and like I didn't talk to everybody who did something at GameCon. I didn't talk to Taylor at all, or like Deborah. Although Deborah did come by and buy some of Ella's dice, which was very fun. She's very sweet. But like I talked to Kevin and Anna, I talked to Josiah and like, you know, some of the other people running events and stuff, and it was cool. They were all like pretty enthusiastic about GameCon, you know, and like excited to go back to it to do like whatever the next bigger thing that they were going to do the next year, which is fun. And like the other creators that I've talked to, like Vix, Valiant Fox, Vix was there and she ran the cosplay contest, which was like a big deal, and that's really cool, you know, because she's like a fairly big cosplayer. And she did a really great job, and she was excited and enthusiastic about doing it again next year. And like, you know, I've talked to like Tank and some of the other like local Canadian like D&D dudes, and they all thought it was kind of cool. Quincy mentioned that he thought it was like a cool sounding thing. So it's like people look at GameCon and they're like, that's kind of neat. Like that like sounds like a good time. Whether it's big enough that they want to go to it or not, that's one thing. But it seems like Gen Con, when people who are like those same like level or whatever creators that I talk to, that are like relevant enough to do a thing like that at Gen Con as well, they're always kind of like exhausted, you know, like, yeah, I gotta do this thing at Gen Con, you know. So I wonder maybe if I just sort of double down on GameCon Canada just being like the thing that I go to or whatever. Have you considered looking at the Tabletop Game Alliance annual summit? It's more of an indie scene. No, I've never heard of that actually. Yeah, what is that about? What is that about? Where is it? Like, I don't think I've ever heard of that, honestly. Notable number, especially considering that Instagram seems to hard to get traction on these days. That's a good point. You know, even though I have bigger number over there than on TikTok, which is supposedly easier. So, good point, Salesian. Got no idea what these convention organizers, I just think. Fair enough. Well, like M from Blackwater, she told me like at GameCon that apparently like above 10K for GameCon was like, oh, you're a big deal. And M was like, yeah, fucking go for it, dude. Like M was really encouraging, because I think Blackwater, they didn't come this year. They came the year before, and they really had a good time. They really enjoyed it. They had I don't think I've talked to Em about or Tim or whatever about GameCon since then. I don't know why they didn't do it this year. Maybe schedule, maybe whatever. But I think they were all very enthusiastic about it, you know. And Em was really encouraging that I should try and do something like official or whatever with GameCon. So it's like Google hosted live events at a completely different venue, just the same time as Gen Con, because they made more money. Huh. So it's kind of like, do you guys ever remember a convention called E3? E3 was a gaming convention. This reminds me a lot of this. E3 was a gaming convention years ago where it was like the place that all the developers dropped their announcements. If you had a new thing to talk about, E3 was it, man. It was the biggest deal. IGN's coverage of it, GameSpot, what other game journalism sites. E3 was it every year. It was such a big event. GDC was more of an industry thing, and E3 was it. And then what happened with E3 is it got too big, it got too self-important, it got too whatever. And actually BlizzCon, kind of like BlizzCon, Blizzard didn't do E3. Blizzard did their own thing, their own convention, because they were fucking Blizzard. This is back when Blizzard ruled the world. And like that inspired some other companies. I think it was Nintendo that first then decided to pull out of E3. And they decided to do their own Nintendo event. I don't remember if they did it at the same time as E3. But what that started or caused was E3 was then just Sony and Xbox doing their like events. But then at some point in time, other studios that were or publishers are big enough, like Ubisoft or Activision or whatever, thought to themselves, well, we don't need to do E3 anymore. So we'll just do our event at the same time as E3 in a different location right beside E3, because they can get bent. And so they started doing this where then you had that was like kind of the death bell for E3, is when the big industry players in the games industry chose to still use the capital gain of hype around E3, but then remove themselves from the actual E3, like stay in the ecosystem but not formally with E3. So that was like a real bad thing when there was the Ubisoft conference over here and the Bethesda conference over here and whatever, and then E3 was just kind of like Xbox, PlayStation, kind of showing what they could, that wasn't other studios showing what they wanted to at the same time, and then it ended up just dissolving entirely. Nintendo was just doing directs whenever they wanted. Publishers were out there doing whatever at the same time as E3, and then E3 just ended. And so if you could consider maybe Critical Role like the Blizzard of the games industry, I think, in tabletop gaming. And if they're doing their own thing outside of E3, outside of Gen Con, but at the same time, like their Critical Role Live, whatever, that's like a real bad sign. It would be an even worse sign, I think, if Critical Role decided to create some sort of event convention style thing, not just a live play, like some kind of a mini convention, which I'm sure they've talked about or is in plans or something, at a completely different time in a completely different place. Just disconnecting with Gen Con entirely. That would be an absolute fucking death bell for Gen Con if that happens. But already I think it's a real bad, like Gen Con could still salvage this. They could still bring Critical Role back in and make it a giant headlining thing and a big whatever, you know. But if they think that they can, like, because they are the driving force, the convention, if they think that they're too big not to crumble, I would wonder who's in charge thought about what happened to E3 and wonder what their opinion is, why that's not going to happen to them. I'd be very curious to hear their rationale behind it. Maybe they're dumb, or maybe they actually have some sort of plan. They see something where they're like, no, I think we're safe because this is this factor. That's why we can, like, you know, sort of be this way or whatever, you know, focus on these priorities or those priorities or whatever. It was cool that COVID killed it. Yeah. I think the last one, was right before COVID, right? So now you get stuff like Nintendo Live events for all announcements. Yeah, or like the Xbox Summer Game Showcase or something, or the PlayStation something. Or like, I know there's Gamescom in Europe is still big. And I know a lot of publishers still do stuff at Gamescom, which is cool. And I guess the Europeans have figured out how to do a gaming event for a longer period of time than any of the North American conventions figured out or whatever. These are the reverse Gen Con. It's a con that's been around for a lot longer. Most of the things that exist in the modern era, and they very much behave in that way. Like, we are here before you, we'll be here after you, whether it's not true or not. Oh, interesting. So maybe it is just a level of hubris. Google doesn't do live plays anymore, and they were doing Daggerheart events at Gen Con this year, so they clearly think that getting to Gen Con is worth it in the modern day. Oh, I see. So they decided to go back into them, into like the ecosystem or whatever. Interesting. Well, also I think that maybe I don't know how Daggerheart's getting received, but like I get to, on the calendar in the year, I get to probe the gaming audience a couple times. Like, obviously from January to December, like on the timeline of the year. I don't know why I did it vertically, horizontally, right? So January to December, and then like June is in the middle, right? I am getting a little bit of a pulse from the gaming community, obviously the entire year from Twitch. The problem is, if you guys are on Twitch and we are talking about RPGs and stuff, everyone in this category are either considered hardcore or enthusiasts, right? Hardcore enthusiasts. So the opinion that we get in this chat over through the year is a little bit slanted. The conventions are where I get to talk to the casual audience. So in April, we have Calgary Comic and Entertainment, Calgary Fan Expo. And then in June, we have Game Con Canada. And then in September, we have Edmonton Fan Expo. And then through the summer, we just had Strathmore Ren Fair. Strathmore Medieval Fair or whatever. And then we also have Vegreville, Medieval Fair, and then also Millerville Medieval Fair now. So these are all events. These are all points in time that I get to sort of probe the casual audience. So there's other events that Elle and I do, ArdCon and FallCon, and there's like a lot of events and whatever. But these are the big ones where like more than 10,000 people are there, up to 100,000 people, whatever, for like Calgary Fan Expo. What did I do in E? Calgary Fan Expo. And whenever I get to sort of jump and hear how people are sort of thinking about RPGs through 2025, or through 2023 and 2024, D&D was it. Critical Role, Campaign 3, D&D, new rules, OGL drama, Twitch streams, GameCon or Gen Con, D&D was all people could talk about. And then 2024, okay, more the same. 2025 was a big difference. In 2025, that was when people were talking to me about, they were saying like how we're trying Draw Steel or Daggerheart or whatever. And I was hearing a lot about Daggerheart last year. And a lot of this is in conversations when somebody comes to the table and if I'm selling dice and art and they come up to Ella's side and they're like looking for dice and it's like, oh, what are you guys playing right now? Are you in a campaign? And I ask a lot of people if they're in a campaign right now, and a lot of them will say like, oh yeah, you know, we're in a campaign, this, we're doing Strad, we're doing this, we're doing whatever. Or a lot of people would say stuff like last year they were saying, a lot of people were saying, well, we're not playing D&D, we're playing Daggerheart. It's like, damn, okay, all right, cool. Like a lot of people were playing other games this year. If last year it was maybe 60-40 D&D and other games, this year it's 90-10 D&D to other games. Like through 2026, and we're here. We just had, this is where we are right now. So I've had Calgary, I've had these big ones. The only one we haven't had is Edmonton Fan Expo yet. But through all of these big events this year, it's all been D&D, like only exclusively, and more volume overall this year than last year. Last year was much quieter. Like Ella had a great year for selling dice, I had a great year for selling prints, but it wasn't as big as the previous year. And this year then it's kind of back up a little bit, but it's just D&D. Like nobody, the sort of like metaphorical nobody is playing Daggerheart anymore. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what kind of like changed in there or whatever. Critical Gen Con announcements for Daggerheart supplement. They didn't say too much because WotC did their D&D announcement for the next year of stuff. I see. Hip Hop Gaming Alliance is based out of Washington State. They do an indie summit for TTRPG designers, artists, and publishers. They usually hold it in Olympia, Washington. The Alliance also has listings for other game events that are involved globally. That's cool, honestly. I've never heard of that. That's kind of rad. That sounds like an industry kind of like GDC type thing or whatever. So that sounds like a good place to talk to people about fucking Imagination Dragon games and stuff. So that's the kind of thing that would interest me, honestly. I don't know if like traveling to Washington like for an event like that is expensive. And if it's not a convention that I can go to as an artist and like make back the cost of, that sucks. But if it's like the kind of choice between like going as an attendee to that or something like Gen Con, there might be a good like argument for going to something like that instead. I'm gonna play D&D. I'm currently DMing Cyberpunk Red. I just want to break from D&D since I just finished campaign a few months ago. Oh yeah, right. Cyberpunk is like is another one that I'm hearing more about. Most people, Daggerheart was a fad, but that's entirely anecdotal. But that's the thing, like your anecdotal argument for it being a fad lines up perfectly for my anecdotal experience of it being a fad too. So I think that you're absolutely right. But I wonder why. I wonder why more people didn't sort of like take like Daggerheart and run with it. Because there's a lot of people that were very like, is it ultimately the game just isn't as good? Because like I can compare it to World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is the greatest MMO that has ever existed. World of Warcraft is better than every other MMO, and it's not even close. However, people will take breaks. Other MMOs will become more popular. Things like that will happen. Blizzard gets canceled because of the scandals, and then everyone's playing Final Fantasy 14 for an amazing 6 months or a year. Everyone's playing Final Fantasy 14. But the reason why people didn't stay in Final Fantasy 14 is because no matter what Final Fantasy 14 does better than Warcraft, with the community, with the housing, with whatever, the story, the narrative, no matter what you say that Final Fantasy 14 did better than World of Warcraft, at the end of the day, combat and interface in Final Fantasy 14 fucking sucks. And World of Warcraft dunks on it like it's not even trying. So, like, that's the problem with it, is that everyone wanted to not play World of Warcraft. Everyone wanted to play Final Fantasy 14, and you kind of copium your way through it, and you're like, yeah, we're having more fun than we are with Warcraft, guys. But at the end of the day, you get kind of exhausted because raiding sucks in Final Fantasy 14. Combat sucks. It's a game that's designed for the controller. It uses the Japanese archetypical like interface structure for menus, which is just diseased. Like there's a lot of quality of life stuff about why Final Fantasy 14 just isn't as good as World of Warcraft that eventually made people move back to WoW. And I wonder if it's the kind of thing with Daggerheart where it's like, it was a great fun type of thing that was different and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's just not polished or fun in the same way. It's trying to be too different. It's trying to be this or that or something. It's kind of like MOBAs, you know? Every MOBA tries to be something different. There's fads of new MOBAs coming out. But at the end of the day, man, people are going back to League of Legends because it's just more polished. It's just more mechanically whatever, you know? It's also popular with only the Critical Role crowd, but it's even jumped to the RPG crowd through mitosis. You think so? Daggerheart is a lot more difficult to have a good game. You need a great GM with a solid table energy for it to work well. Most people don't actually have that. That's an interesting point. I haven't actually played, but that's an interesting point to say that it relies heavier on the DM experience, which I can absolutely understand. Then, be incredibly mediocre DM and run a decent D&D game. That's true. Yeah, that's actually very fair. The mechanics of D&D are good enough and fun enough, and the rules are sort of in place where, yeah, you can have an okay DM run a great game because the game kind of facilitates that. But if Daggerheart is more of a, like that's kind of the problem. The more open you make the game, the more you must have somebody fill that gap with their own ability. Right? And then thus the rules of gameplay don't really factor in as much. Like rules and game theory is a very interesting thing to look into and to research up on. Rules for play, and these are rules for playground games. These are rules for games with infants. Like the rules of Peekaboo. Peekaboo is a game you play with your baby that has rules in some ways, if you think about it. I mean technically and literally it does, right? And so you can extrapolate rules from that point all the way up to EVE Online, all the way up through D&D and BattleTech. And rules of play are a framework, and good rules of play will make a good game that will play really well. But I think that, yeah, that's a really interesting like point about why Daggerheart might be struggling compared to D&D, is because the rules of the game just aren't as good. And the same thing is true with Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy 14 had way more room for if you had a great like friend group to facilitate great play. But the rules of Final Fantasy 14, the mechanics of how to play and interact with the game, fucking sucked compared to World of Warcraft. And so you just went back to World of Warcraft because just getting loot in World of Warcraft was easier. Transmog was easier. Raids were easier. Dungeons were easier. Like it was all just easier to get into and to slip into. Final Fantasy 14 is like abstract in some ways and awkward and clunky. And World of Warcraft is so unbelievably polished. That's why Overwatch is now having a resurgence, because it's just a really polished game. And so I wonder if just like the rules of D&D being so good and compact and polished are making it really hard for other like RPGs to come in. You argue to run with a group of introverts because it's like a jump in / interact playstyle to it. Interesting. So would it be fair to say that Daggerheart requires you to be more of a proactive player and doesn't have as many opportunities for the DM to grab you? Because like for D&D, if I'm playing with introverts, I know as a DM how to grab someone and pull them into the story. And they do so sometimes with mechanics. Like if you have a player that's like very introvert, doesn't interact much or doesn't interject much or whatever, you can include them by giving them skill challenges. If you have like James the Rogue that doesn't like to RP and stuff, but wants to kind of like be part of it, you have mechanics and like lock picking checks and stealth and skill checks that you can bring your friend James that doesn't like to talk to people into the game. So even though they're not like hands on the hip theatrically role playing with the king of who the fuck, but they're still interacting in the game, they have a place to play in the game. Or if you have like Carolyn, the antisocial sorceress player that doesn't want to RP whatsoever, but man, during combat she pops off by just playing the game really well, and it's cool that she does it well. Those are things where D&D itself, the rules will grab you and pull you into the game. But is Daggerheart more something where the game is sort of happening and you have to jump into it more? It was built by drama kids for drama kids, mentality system, but it can work with the right group, but most groups struggle with it. Interesting. Where did my nose go? Transcends the boundary between peekaboo and RPGs. Samurai, that right there is the title of the PhD thesis statement that I want to see somebody write. On game theory and the entirety of like sociology. Where did my nose go? Transcends the boundary between Pikachu and Peekaboo and RPGs. There it is. Perfect. They try to make large changes to the mechanical interface and gameplay of Final Fantasy 14 now too. They made some big announcements at Final Fantasy FanFest this year, funnily enough. Yeah, and like honestly, there's a lot about Final Fantasy. Like I was cheering so hard for Final Fantasy 14. I want Final Fantasy 14 to be so good. But there's certain things like glam. The glamour system is so awful compared to transmog. Like buying something from vendors. The fact that when you go to a vendor and you have to buy like the ingredients that are just like vendor ingredients for crafting, and it's a list of words on a menu that you have to scroll down to, as opposed to World of Warcraft is big fucking icons with spools of thread and ore and leather, and you can immediately find and click on the thing you want to click, right? As opposed to Final Fantasy 14, you have to flip through 3 pages. Like just the interface and menus and whatever, the timing on combat, on abilities. You push an ability in World of Warcraft and it feels really good. It's like the gunplay in shooters, you know? But in Final Fantasy 14, you push an ability and it kind of like, I don't know, the feedback on it's really not there. It's just like those things are the polish that I think brought people back to World of Warcraft in the end. And I wonder if D&D has a similar type of thing. I think it's necessarily good versus bad rule situation. I'm not arguing favor or against Daggerheart here. Comes down to what people want out of their tabletop games. Do you need more rules heavy combat simulation game? If you don't want that, it's not a good game for you. Yeah. And like that's a good point, because that's I think when people are trying to get Daggerheart, they're trying to get out of D&D so much. Like 5 years ago on Twitch, when I would reference Matt Colville's idea that D&D is first and foremost a war game, that opinion got shit on. When I would say that on Twitch, I would usually have some, like I would just see 3 first-time chats appear of people that were aggroed by me calling D&D a war game first that you can tell a great story with, right? But now you say that and people are kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, fair enough, you know, because the people who wanted D&D to just be a theater collective storytelling game that came from the fanfic community, that came from Critical Role, that came from the theater kids sort of side of things, they built that, and then they realized that they wanted some mechanics or some rules behind their game too. So I don't know, maybe it's like you didn't know what you had until you saw what actually you wanted, what you asked for looked like, and then you realized you didn't actually want that. A lot of people I know, myself included, jumped to more crunch games like Lancer or more indie games with looser rules, but a lot of great DMs. So I think it was easier to play more than just D&D. I've heard, that's a good point. I've heard a lot about Lancer recently. I should say that talking about how I haven't heard much about other games this year, one of the only games that I have heard from last year people talk about to this year, not at conventions but on Twitch, is I do see Lancer pop up here and there. Like I don't see people talk about Drawsteel anymore, which sucks because I think Drawsteel was a fantastic looking game. But Lancer I do see pop up once in a while here. That and Cyberpunk. Maybe a couple of those I'm not thinking of either. You know, all I know with Final Fantasy 14 lately is the housing market somehow being worse than real life. Dude, Ella and I gave up our Final Fantasy 14 houses. We got our dream houses in 14 when they opened up a couple more like instances to each of the like zones, and so we got in the beach zone, the one we wanted to. We got houses where we wanted. I got the size of house I wanted, and we got houses right across the street from each other. To have a friend in Final Fantasy 14 and both have a house is crazy. To both have a house beside each other is unheard of. And Elle and I had that, but like we just hadn't played all year, and I think we'd paid like $300 in sub fees each over the last year of not playing, just because we were like, oh, we're gonna start playing at some point in time in like our house. And then at some point in like the spring, or right in April, right before baby was born, I was like, we aren't gonna play this game anytime soon, and are we gonna spend another $600 so that in a year we can have our houses next to each other? And she was like, no, that's stupid. And we both had that very kind of like hard moment where we had to unsub from 14. It was so fucking heartbreaking because we lost our houses right beside each other. Oh my god. That is one thing that's nice about World of Warcraft housing, is that you can sort of get your house next to each other or whatever. I haven't done shit in WoW housing. Yet, even though the system has been out, just because I haven't, like, this is the first time I have not really played a World of Warcraft expansion. And that's weird for me, because no matter what's been going on in my life, even if I'm not playing the fucking game and everybody hates World of Warcraft, I'm busy as shit, I still play the expansion through, you know, at least on my own, even if I don't have any friends to play it with. But this time I don't know, man, something had to give. And with baby being born, it was like, oh, I'm going to come back to World of Warcraft at some point in time, but you know, this expansion, this patch, this whatever is not going to be it. And that's why Ellen and I've been playing Pokopia so much, is because it's a game that we can kind of play together. We can both play it on our Switches, but you know, we can like play it here and there. There's no like logging on to our computer and whatever. It's like baby can be asleep on Ella, and then I hand her Switch, and then we both play for a little while while baby's asleep. And that's what we need right now. And I know at some point in time we will get back to the point where we can play games up here. But a big thing standing in the way is Ella needs a new GPU. Her GPU, when we were playing Space Marine 2 together, we suffered through that because maybe over a 3-hour period of gaming, her GPU would shut her computer down 4 or 5 times. And that's just so unbelievably annoying that you just can't get into the game. And Ella was like, honestly, until I get a new GPU, I just like really don't want to, you know, don't want to deal with that shit, how dejecting it is to be playing and then your computer just shuts down mid-mission, you have to like restart or whatever, you know. But because we're not able to play a lot right now up here, it's not worth it to get a new GPU for her, or more likely it'd be a new GPU for me, and then she can take mine. So World of Warcraft housing is there for me, but man, the 14 housing, having to give that up was like, ugh. I've never been so sad about a video game ever. I don't know why, man. It's crazy. I put so much effort into those houses, and we were fucking neighbors, and I could like go to my front gate, go across the street, and there was her house. It was so cool, man. God, I wanted to keep playing Final Fantasy 14 so bad. But I don't know, everyone we knew just kind of stopped playing it, you know? They decided to go back to WoW's furry gameplay instead of the weebdom of Final Fantasy 14. Everybody else feels lucky too. I'm next door with my free company house, which is set up like a tavern, so my house doesn't have a kitchen. There's a little story to it. I love that. Our free company house. That's gone too, isn't it? Oh, fuck. The heartbreak is back. Oh, I put so much effort into our free company house. It was so good. It's in Shirogane, and it was in the perfect location. and it was like a guild tavern, and in the basement there was like a guild library, and I glitched all the platforms in there, so it was 2 stories. Someone find a fucking clip of me playing Final Fantasy 14 on stream with the free company house so I can just see it again. Oh, and all of our apartments for all the guild members in the back of the house. Okay, whatever. Not worth spending $600 a year on that, or how much it is, or whatever. Shit, damn it. Lots of draws still more niche nowadays, even though you can find people that talk about them and even occasionally playing them. That's true, actually. You need a good middle of the road for rules, RP, and combat. It holds your hand a lot. People like that, or need that structure, and like having defined abilities won't, like the kids on Bike series or Slug Blasters. But Pathfinder and Lancer have too much going on for play to easily start a game. You think Pathfinder does too, hey? That's interesting, because I always, like, my favorite edition of D&D is 3.5. And if I could choose to play Pathfinder or 5th edition and like develop stuff for Eldara for Pathfinder or 5th ed, I would choose Pathfinder. The reason I do 5th ed is because no one I know plays Pathfinder. Like nobody plays Pathfinder. But I still think that 3.5 rules and Pathfinder were still very accessible and easy to get into. But I hear that opinion a lot. People think that it's like pretty rules heavy and like annoying to try and figure out. And so I respect it, you know. I don't remember learning D&D on anything. Like I learned on 3.5 or third ed, actually, but more or less 3.5. So I don't remember it being like, there wasn't an option. That was the only thing. But I bet, yeah, if you had a brand new gamer today getting into their first D&D campaign, I bet 3.5 and Pathfinder might be a lot. So unless someone else could be promoted guild leader position and maintain the house. No one in the, so the free company guild was for our stream. It was called the Dragon's Claim, right? And so a bunch of people, like I think we had like 10 or 15 members in it, of people that from our community that played Final Fantasy 14. But at the end there, I was the only one playing. So mechanism for that, if there's other players in the FC, so they don't just immediately lose all their rooms like that. Yeah, shit. Oh, that hurts. Hurts, man. Buy $600, 14 expenses. I know, right? Oh, $600 for baby clothes. Nah, fuck that, man. I'll go buy baby clothes at Costco. I'm not above that. Like, I'm no Walmarter when it comes to baby clothes. I love my son enough to not buy him baby clothes from fucking Walmart, but Costco, they have really good stuff there. Now, other things, they're expenses for babies, like bottle washers. Oh man, there's a lot of baby expenses, bro. It's all a generational thing, maybe. That's very fair, yeah. So Pathfinder is more going on than D&D. It's much more dense. Also, Paizo may just be disappearing. So what happened? Wait, what's happening with Paizo? I have a difficult time reading 3.5, and you know how balls deep in rules shit I am. That's fair. Okay, I'll trust your opinion on that.
First as a TTRPG and then expanded afterwards to Pathfinder and other indie games.
Okay.
D&D is very good for introducing people and being a foundation to what TTRPGs can do.
That's a good point. Yeah, D&D I think is yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, Mel. Like teaching people how to play an RPG on D&D, especially 5th ed, feels easier than definitely any other editions or whatever. But like what made it easy, I think, for me to learn how to play 3rd edition or 3.5 was that rules were not necessarily, like, no one was obsessed with getting the rules right. You know, like we had I think the gaming community had more freedom back then to not be so like the rules is written. There was an idea in game like TTRPG and tabletop gaming when I was like getting into it for the first time, that there was kind of this idea of like rules lawyers were sort of a joke, because you couldn't like the rules were supposed to change or morph depending on what made for the most interesting gameplay for you and your table. And so like no one was like, oh man, I can't figure out how to do this thing in 3rd edition, because it's like, I don't know, it should probably work like this. Give me a where the fuck did George and Sam go check. And it's like, I don't know, it's probably like, oh, is that an investigation, or is it gather information, or do I have proficiency in investigation? Where do I, or is it a knowledge streetwise? You know, it's just a whatever.
Pathfinder is crunchy.
Yes.
Lots of conditions, lots of tracking, lots of finer details that newer
That's true.
players may not be able to really handle at first.
Wait, first or
at
second
least
edition?
That is just for me. Smile. My first Pathfinder game was climbing a mountain.
I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe it's just the way we did the rules. Like, it is a generational thing. I don't know. Yeah, actually, I think it probably is, because the way you talk about like how hard it was to figure out the rules for every situation. When it was a very important thing to point out that if you didn't know the rules for a situation when you were playing D&D in third and 3.5 edition, that didn't fucking matter. You just figured it out on the fly and maybe like tried to look it up later, you know. Fourth ed is kind of where that started to change, where fourth ed was more rules dependent on what the fuck was happening with powers and shit. There was more defined action every time you like cast a spell or whatever. So
I did 5e for D&D, then 2e for Pathfinder.
Okay.
I wanted to make a warlock for the first game I ever did, a one-shot.
Right.
My friend begged me to be a ranger. D.
I have no experience whatsoever with second ed. I don't even know anything about Pathfinder second ed, so I can't really say I can't say shit about it. I have zero experience. How's it got hit really hard and it's really struggling? Really? They lay off a bunch of staff? What the fuck? Several $1 million from their distributor going bankrupt. Wait, what the fuck? They're hemorrhaging money because Diamond Distribution. I am unfortunately deeply familiar with Diamond Distribution, as I used to work at a game store. Company went out of business, so a lot of companies lost a bunch of their printed stock and shit. Interesting. That is heartbreaking. Wow, okay. So if Paizo doesn't have another direct-to-store pipeline and distribution, they're just dead in the water. They just can't get their product to market, and then that's it. That's it. They're probably on product to product for whatever they have in reserve and cash flow. Ugh.
Sadly, the distributor holding Paizo's physical inventory, along with many other companies, and the new owners of the distributor basically held
Wait, what
their
happened?
inventory hostage.
Oh,
That's why Paizo
okay.
doesn't have the license for Nefertits anymore too.
Okay, I have no idea about what that part of it is. That's interesting. Okay. Well, it's a good reminder to try and always hold the keys to your own castle, I guess, as it were. Never sell, never rely on another company, never rely on a service. Don't over rely on distribution or stores or storefronts or anything like that. Man, they wouldn't hear played any of the bigger space themed TTRPGs. The only big space themed TTRPG I've had experience with is the Star Wars Saga Edition one, and Star Wars Saga Edition I think is my favorite mechanical system ever. But that people also sometimes don't really consider that a space themed TTRPG because it's like Star Wars, you know. You're getting most of the stock back, but it's also a bit of a stale. A bit stale is more the inventory is about a year old. Paizo's still producing new content, but they've shifted the model
That
substantially.
all of the information of all of Paizo's Pathfinder world information.
Oh,
they can't
okay.
have the artwork in it
Got it.
anymore because in order to not have as many people laid off, they cut the costs of the licensing costs, so they really made an effort to keep as many people as they can.
Wow, that is so nasty. Like, just nasty, dude. Thanks for my bits, Mel. I appreciate that. How's really test stop? Also, Watsy has the opportunity. The funniest thing of all time is Paizo decides to sell acquiring Pathfinder. That's true. That would be hilarious. Okay, like just for the sick kind of like tragedy comedy of it. That would be hilarious. Now, do I hope that happens? Absolutely not, but also kind of, because, you know. D&D's gonna be a big space RPG. What are you talking about? Don't ruin my day anymore. It's already been ruined. All right, I already had a baby drool on me this morning. Like, my day's already mediocre at best. Mid, maybe.
God, the last thing we need
Don't
right
ruin
now
it.
is another monopoly, especially in the TTRPG space. Frown.
That's right. That's right. That's why I'm here. I will save TTRPGs. I will make the greatest TTRPG ever, and then I will never sell it to a company that would fuck it up. Yep. Yep. I will live long enough to see myself become the villain that destroys my own reputation and product. You ever heard about the Star Wars book? What about the WoW one? No, what the hell? Hold on. So if this is relatively new news, Faye, that happened in the last, I'm going to say 6 months. Honestly, I don't even know what day of the month it is. Like, literally, I know it's August. I know we're past the halfway point. I don't know if it's the 17th or if it's the 28th. Or if I don't think it's September yet. I don't think it's September. So I know it is somewhere between August 15th and September. But I past that, like, I wasn't sure that it was Friday. You know, you gotta help me out. I am so to the loop. You gotta explain to me like I'm 5 on this one. Okay, DD Star Wars, an official Star Wars tabletop role-playing game using the DD rule set is scheduled for release by Wizards of the Coast in late 2027. During the season of Rebellion. So did we just decide to kick Fantasy Flight to the fucking curb? Because I'll be honest, when I was working at the game store when Star Wars sold, or around there, and so I was working there to see the first release wave of all of the Fantasy Flight products and the Marvel comics. So I saw the Star Wars like TTRPG. I saw the Maze game. I saw Star Wars Armada or whatever it was called, where you had the little I saw X-Wing Fighter, whatever that little like minis game was. It was cool. I saw Fantasy Flight go to fucking bat with Star Wars, and I will admit fully, I looked through the TTRPG and thought it was the steamiest pile of dog shit I had ever seen. I thought that the Star Wars TTRPG being in Fantasy Flight's hands was such an unbelievable fucking embarrassment of a system. That game sucked so much that sales of Saga Edition books on eBay went through the fucking roof, man. The core book went from like $25 used, smelling like Cheetos and piss, to that same copy being over $100 because they don't want to play the Final Fantasy game or Fantasy Flight, not Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is great. We love them. Fantasy Flight. So this is interesting if it's back with WotC. Like, holy shit. Also, that was Thursday, so I feel ya. Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. 4 is getting a lot of new proprieties for different source books. Really? They don't have the license anymore. It's not under my Edge Studios, who is also under Asmodee. Oh, okay. Edge Studios continue the Fantasy Flight version of the game. There are 3 pre-existing Star Wars RPGs. I heard one of them is garbage, but most people liked the other ones. So Saga Edition, yeah. So there's so Saga Edition Star Wars. This is the good one. Saga Edition, if you thought 3.5 was too crunchy, you might not like Saga Edition, because Saga Edition was kind of like 3.75. It was 3.5, so it's very similar to 3.5 or Pathfinder, but with like upgrades and house cleaning done in the system that is so it was 3.5 polished and adding in things like force and talents, and the character customization was great. This one sucked. But one of the good things about Star Wars Saga Edition that they also did was they also were willing to take they're also willing to take like other EU things like Old Republic and make a book out of it. You know, or Galaxy at War was the Clone Wars stuff and whatever, or no, well, Clone Wars was the Clone Wars book, but Galaxy War had it. So like, if you were a Star Wars fan, this library of Star Wars Saga Edition books was like a new comic series came out a couple years ago that was dope and spawned a new setting from that, there's a Saga Edition rulebook for it that was awesome. That took all your favorite stuff from it. So it wasn't just the actual rules of the game. It was how the game was releasing stuff when it was like current that also made Saga Edition really good. The Fantasy Flight one, yeah. Edge of the Empire. So Fantasy Flight kind of released 3 Star Wars books. 3 Star Wars settings, sort of. And they were all kind of like Edge of the Empire is one of the Fantasy Flight games, ones that I'm saying was absolute utter dog shit. They kind of released 3 different sort of like settings within Star Wars that you could kind of run games in that had slightly different rules. So like Edge of the Empire is kind of your like scum and villainy, swashbuckling kind of Lando and Han type stuff. Age of Rebellion was the like, you just want to play episode 4, 5, 6 or whatever. And then and then Force and Destiny. This was the like the Jedi E1. And these all fucking sucked. Like, people like Edge of the Empire the most of these 3 games. Sort of, these are like sub games within one system. But you could argue they're different games, but you could argue they're 3 different books for one game. And that's what I would describe it as. But I know that people actually liked Age of Empire decent. Edge of the Empire, Age of fucking Empires, dude. That game hasn't been around for 40 years. Edge of the Empire. But these ones, I know, like, so forgettable. But in general, the entirety of this, I think, was absolute trash. A lot of people love the dice resolution system. Look, I'm not saying that the popular opinion when it first came out is the popular opinion of today. Maybe people have found an affection for it that definitely wasn't there when it was released. A lot of people so one of the things people didn't like about Fantasy Flight Games is that Fantasy Flight Games was, you got to think about the timing of this as well. This was at a time when games were starting to figure out how to be monetized more. So when games went from buy the game and play the game to a model of buy the game and pay a subscription, you're like, that's weird, to buy the game and now there's microtransactions in the game, and then you're like, that's fucked up, dude. And then buy the game and now there's microtransactions and loot boxes and all this kind of stuff. Like, now today, people are absolutely abused by game companies, and we were talking about this yesterday with gacha games, and they don't care. They just don't give a shit. They plugged back into the Matrix. They did that scene from, what was his name, Cypher or whatever in the Matrix. So they said, I don't care. I just want the steak to taste good. They don't care if they're getting abused by these game companies anymore. But this is around the same time that was happening. People were like, hey, fuck you and your loot boxes. Fuck you and your microtransactions. That was very much the sentiment when it first came out. Fantasy Flight Games was that for tabletop gaming. So when Fantasy Flight released these books, the way that they made the dice was because they wanted to be able to sell you the Star Wars exclusive dice. Because why just sell you the new book when they could also make you go get a new set of dice? And this wasn't in the age of Ella Blackwood selling $100 dice sets that are handmade. This is in the age of ChessX being the primary dice supplier for $8 sets of dice. And Fantasy Flight was charging like $30 for their special dice. So a lot of people at the time really hated the Fantasy Flight dice because the system felt like it wasn't any better than the dice in a D20 system, but now you had to buy new dice, which sucked. So there was that too around the time. Maybe people don't give a shit now because just like how people, if you have a microtransaction in a game, what people do now is they say, at least I'm not spending $400 a month on gacha games. At least it's not Genshin. At least it's not Honkai or whatever. And now, but if you tried that like microtransactions, then people were like very negative about it. So now if you're like, hey, here's a new game system, plus you need to buy $25 dice, people will shrug and say, at least it's not $70 Dispel dice Kickstarter. At least it's not $150 Blackwood dice. Like the change in like what people are willing to accept, I think, has changed quite a bit. And that's why I think people are more willing to accept the obvious like cash grabs of, because like I tried these. I don't remember how it works even the slightest, because remember I tried this when it first came out, But I remember I looked around the table with the other guys working at the game store, and we all unanimously agreed there was no reason why this was better than a D20 system. And this wasn't us being butthurt that Saga Edition was over, because we were actually excited for this. We weren't mad that Saga Edition was discontinued. We were excited there was new Star Wars RPGs. And so we were all really trying to be positive about it. And I remember we were all universally like, I wasn't the one running the game, but we were all like, this fucking sucks. Like, this game compared to Saga Edition sucks. The mechanics are from a company that knows how to make board games and not RPGs. Clearly, like, that's what Fantasy Flight Games did, is they made board games, not tabletop gaming. They didn't know how to do this shit. And I still didn't think that they do, but maybe they've changed in the last decade. And that's why a lot of the negativity was there around Saga or around Fantasy Flight stuff. So maybe the sentiment has changed. Maybe time has like nostalgia, whatever. If you got into RPGs 3 years ago, this is an old game that maybe you're more willing to accept. And it's like I wouldn't give this another chance because I already gave it a chance when it first came out, and it was utter trash. And that was the unanimous opinion of everybody at the time. But they still just kept pumping it. And so maybe people have gone back. I can't explain exactly why they like it now, or why it's being well received. But I do know that Edge of the Empire was kind of the best of them, or whatever. So that makes sense. That kind of tracks with what I remember, or whatever. But like, that's cool that like oh wait, no, I looked at the Star Wars. Hold on, Star Wars D&D. What is this? Wait, Star Wars D&D. What's up, Deji? We're doing good. How you doing, my friend? Scheduled for release in late 2027 during Season of Rebellion. Star Wars 5th edition, a completely free fan-made conversion of D&D. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Official Star Wars D&D. Just announced Dungeons & Dragons Star Wars collaboration to take place in Season of Rebellion coming 2027. Stay tuned for details. Interesting. This is a really bad sign, I think. This is a really, really bad sign. The Warcraft one too. Okay, yeah, Warcraft 2. This is real bad for D&D, I think. So if you're a Magic the Gathering player, and not a new one, if you're a new Magic the Gathering player and you're having fun, you're going for it, and you're enjoying the game, fucking amazing. I'm happy for you. Enjoy. I'm a 20-something year Magic the Gathering player, so I have a bit of the graybeard cynicism in there. But more importantly than my like ancient history of Magic the Gathering is important to see when I was working at the game store during around 2015, that era, to now. Wizards of the Coast had a problem selling their own product. They had a problem selling their own story. They cut back on writers, on artists. They changed a lot they stopped making Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering used to be an amazing fantasy world where they would introduce a new block that was a new fantasy place to go to with new fantasy things. So Ravnica comes out and everyone loses their mind because it's so cool. It's all a city. Kamigawa comes out. It's a Japanese inspired fantasy. You know, Mirrodin comes out and it's this weird kind of like tech metal, weird 80s kind of crossover, whatever fantasy. Like, it was so cool. And they kept running this and people kept loving it. And then at some point in time, for whatever reason, they stopped doing that. And they started doing crossovers. I remember I was sitting at my computer and I was on Discord when somebody said they're doing a My Little Pony crossover with Magic the Gathering. And I said, not a chance, you're joking. And I thought they were fucking with me. And we're like, okay, it's a one-time thing then. Like, whatever, everyone hated it. Everyone hated it. Right? This is back before My Little Pony went through its massive cancellation as a fandom. So it was My Little Pony at the time was just cringe. It wasn't creepy. Now it's like a whole different thing. But they started doing more crossovers. And then it was like, hey, now we have, then it was like, the big one was where they said, hey, we're going to put some Godzilla cards in here. Everyone went, what the fuck? And then they said, we're putting Lord of the Rings in here. And everyone went, oh my God. And they started frothing at the mouth because everyone in fantasy loved Lord of the Rings. Absolute win. But then they do Avatar and Marvel and Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And the problem is that people are kind of getting sick of their cool fantasy game not being the fantasy game anymore. And so a lot of people view WotC's choice to just do this expanded universes thing, or whatever it's called, infinite universes. I don't know what they call it, but they bring in they basically do a one-time emergency lever push or emergency button push of money from a fandom, like break glass in case of bankruptcy, and on the other side is Final Fantasy trading cards. And so they milked it, and they milked Lord of the Rings twice because it came at a time when people were getting into trading cards and crypto and NFTs and all that kind of shit in the 2020 pandemic collectible market boom and all that kind of stuff. And then they kept milking it. Now people are getting a little tired of it, and it's starting to go on the decline. They've kind of milked the big things anyway, and now people are like, give me back like actual Magic the Gathering. And if they're going to start doing the same thing for D&D, where they're like, come play exactly Pokemon D&D, Lord of the Rings D&D, Star Wars D&D, whatever D&D, that's going to get people into it briefly, but that is a short-term sacrifice the longevity of the product for the short-term financial gain. And we know that Hasbro is an absolute wreck for doing that. We know it. We know Hasbro will do anything for the quarter, and that's fine. There's a lot of people at Wizards who are trying really hard to make great stuff. We know that they always have that parent company, just like Blizzard always had the looming threat of Activision. Now it has the looming threat of Xbox. Who knows what that's going to look like in a decade? We know what this looks like. And seeing, I remember having a conversation about this on stream about 2 years ago when people were telling me about how great the new Magic set was. I think it was Lord of the Rings, and I said if D&D starts doing the same thing, we know it's going to be a really bad sign. That's the first sign of infection or rust in D&D. Then if they start doing the same thing. And I think Critical Role is different. Critical Role, bringing them in as a thing and be like, look, Wildmon, it's an official whatever. That's different because it's kind of a, it's within the fandom and it's new. But I knew that if they started doing like Warhammer D&D and, Hobbit D&D and whatever D&D and bringing all these universes in, that's going to be a bad sign. And hey, look where we are, man. Sorry. I think I missed a bunch of chat. Hold on. I missed a bunch of shit. Gonna make them so much money, it's probably going to be here to stay. You're absolutely right. Warcraft 1's coming out in November. Oh, man. Okay. Mentioned that earlier, Universes Beyond started in MTG and was successful financially, so now D&D Beyond is getting that treatment. Yeah, but the problem is that Magic as a card game is suffering for it. And WotC's suffering for it, and players are more and more saying, give me some fucking fantasy, new cool shit in Magic. It's like I think we're going through an overall IP fatigue as a culture, especially as a nerd genre culture of fucking loser degenerates playing video games in our basements all day. As a nerd culture, I think we are going through a type of IP fatigue in general. Everything's a remake, everything's a remaster, everything's a sequel or a prequel, everything's whatever. And I think that that's going to keep growing more and more and more. And I think if you invested in this 5 years ago, you're making all the money in the world. I think if you're starting that today, you're running yourself into a bad, you're running yourself towards a wall that we now know is there. We didn't know the wall was there. We theorized about a wall, but now we can kind of see it. It may be 5 years away, but that wall is there. And we can all kind of, if you sort of squint really hard and look, you can see the brick wall at the end of the tracks. And so it's kind of crazy that some companies are like full steam ahead. Like other companies are like, oh, we're going towards the wall. Well, we have 5 years to fix it. That's one thing. But a company says we're now just getting on this railroad track. It's kind of like, oof, Saturn MTG did start getting into it around, I think, Jurassic Park and Xylo. What was that one? Oh yeah, okay, Ixalan or whatever. A lot of people who loved it and who hated it. My friend has a rage bait deck that's all Universes Beyond. That is actually kind of funny. Power Rangers Transformers both currently being made by Modphius. People currently printing VTM. Interesting. I keep forgetting about VTM. But Hasbro owns Power Rangers and Transformers. They can do what they want with it. Exactly. Right. And like, man, if the card market collapses, the desire to own Universes Beyond for non-Hasbro IPs is going to be real stuck. Back in Dragon Magazine 127, the version of 40k D&D, I think. That's fun though, because that's like back in the day when things kind of sucked and everything was a little scuffed and it was like charming or whatever because of it. Now it's a bit different, I think. You know? I used to think that I hate it. Unfortunately, the majority of people are really excited about all these announcements. Yeah, which like I don't know. Is this a like who's into this? And like I mean that without judgment. Who wants this? Who's asking for this? And are those people the people that are like the masses? Well, yeah, exactly, right? The masses want it. They absolutely do. And it's like, what is the demographic then that doesn't? Are we the enthusiasts so deep in the trench that like we want something new and we want some sort of like purity of form within the art of whatever this project is, D&D or something like that, you know? Because you're absolutely right about Magic. Magic is like a super obvious eye-opening thing where all of the like so there's like you pull a $4,000 card that's some reverse foil fucking Pokemon numbered gold border holographic signed numbered card that's like $4,000 and you think you've hit the fucking lottery. Dude, there are games in my city that I know of with dudes that have millions in decks. There is a vintage game that happens once a month in the city that I live in that has like kind of an open invite with around 20 or so people that I'm kind of on the periphery of that community with because I sold my vintage cards, that everyone brings their actual vintage cards to that and they are playing their lotuses. They are playing $500,000 beta lotuses. Okay? Like to understand what real wealth is in trading cards is so unbelievably different from the people that think that they're making money at like, you know, I'm gonna pull a fucking $400 or whatever PSA grade 10, sell it for $65 or whatever. You know, that those guys hate the new Magic shit. They fucking hate it. Right? And so we can all sit here and we can all grumble and be like, oh man, I just want my new Magic, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And we're all angry about it. And we're all the old graybeards. But then you've got 15 people lining up, literally tears in their eyes because they get to pull a fucking foil Galadriel card or whatever. Or because they got the promo reverse holo alternate art fucking Frodo Baggins with a transformer on his shoulder. You know, and it's like these people aren't invested in the long term of this hobby. That's why I said if you are getting into it, you know. Yo, thank you for the follow, Mikey AR. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. Quick follow and bail. That's fine. Honored to have you here. Thank you for the follow. Sorry, I was in mid rant. You know, it's kind of like with that, you at some point in time, there's a transition from the old to the new. And it's interesting when you can feel that when you're on the old and like the hobby goes away from you and you're like, oh shit, I didn't make the cut. You know? And I wonder if that's what's happening with D&D in some ways, right? I think UB could have really worked as an extension of Secret Lairs if Secret Lairs were still printed on demand. Yeah, but man, the Secret Lair thing was real bad for the trading card game as a whole. I think for like, I mean, shit, they're getting sued over it. They're getting sued over Secret Lairs and Amazon dumps, which is a very interesting lawsuit to follow. It's from some like retirement fucking fund in Florida or whatever, but a lot of people are jumping. It's an interesting story. Look it up if you have time, if you're curious about whatever dumb shit they're talking about over there. But yeah, I mean, like, it might just be one of those transition things, which you can get mad about. You can be mad at all you want, but at the same time, if the game is leaving you, it's kind of like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft, you didn't leave World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft left you. You didn't stop wanting to play World of Warcraft. They changed the if you want to see this happen in real time, I'll show you an example. If you don't play World of Warcraft, I think this is like a good thing to understand about how you can see a transition happen. It is the difference between these two cinematics. The first one is the World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor trailer. All right, we're not gonna watch it, but we're just gonna skip through. All right, maybe like close to the end. Fucking Manaroth explodes. Demon blood oozing all over the place. Gul'dan, the skull-covered warlock, being addressed by the war chief.
This was not our destiny. Times change.
Fucking holy shit, Garrosh. You know? Like, there's a dark fantasy and a brutality to, like, Warcraft at this time. Like, this doesn't have to be your thing, but it's just it's our baseline here, okay? Right?
We will be conquerors.
So let's say that's why you decided to start playing World of Warcraft. All right? This is the most, like, kind of one of the more modern trailers for something in the game. Like, oh shit, okay. It's kind of badass. Never mind, Evan. What the fuck? That was sick. Fantasy, brutality, darkness. So, I mean, again, you don't have to be a World of Warcraft player to see that there is a massive shift in tone for this game, right? And if you are one of the people that your jam is conqueror, battle-hardened orcs with axes named Gorehowl, conquering all of Draenor in the name of blood and honor, and now the game is quirky. I don't know what you call that. Millennial irony, maybe. Like you know what I mean, right? Like that's the game leaving you. That's the game leaving you. That's you. You're not the audience anymore. The game doesn't care if you're the audience because there's a lot of people that want this right here. I can't play that because I'm gonna get fucking copyright, whatever, but it's Ozzy Osbourne's shit. So this like nice housing cinematic, it's like cozy, and you can make your little cozy house with your little pets and whatever, and you know, it's very like, yeah, like Sabine, Overwatchy. And this is great. If you're new to Warcraft and this is your vibe and you want to do this shit and this is like you love this is you being the masses that is attracted to this. But the product has changed. And you can see the drastic change from World of Warcraft from when it was Blood and Thunder to now like Happy Dance. Yeah, Holy Tonal Whiplash. Exactly, Silesian. And so you can not like the first one, like the second one, that's fine. But it's just an illustration of how exactly that tonal whiplash happens. And I think that's what we're experiencing with D&D. When we say we want D&D to be like, I want fantasy and warlocks, and I want fucking druids transforming into bears and shit and whatever. I don't want Transformers and Power Rangers and Sailor Moon in my D&D. This is what it feels like. This is what we can look at maybe for D&D on two far sides of this. We will look back to maybe Dark Sun as a setting for D&D, brutal, Frank Frazetta, 4th edition setting, you know, evil and darkness and oppression and heroes fighting against the blackness of the heart of man to try and rebuild something worth saving in this dark world. And then you have Star Wars. Dark Side's coming out next year. That's awful news, because I almost guarantee, Faye, I will happily eat my fucking words if they make New Dark Sun as brutal, as nihilistic, and as awful as it was. If Dark Sun as a setting is Dark Sun, I will eat my words and say there is somebody at WotC that is trying their hardest to keep us part of the hobby at the same time as making it room for the fucking happy dance people. And that's awesome. Okay? And I am so willing to eat my words and say, fucking Wizards, you did what Blizzard could not. You kept the old core of the game for the D&D players while entertaining the masses, and I will happily address that. But I am not confident. I am not confident that Dark Sun will still have fucking barbarism and brutality and slavery and all these awful things that made playing a good person in the worst kind of Conan style world the reason why people like that setting, you know? But who knows? I could be completely off base on that. I like the gal being a badass with 2 daggers. A player would happily be collecting loot, but out of character, I want my gal to continue being a badass in the narrative. Yeah, that's you cheering at the table, Selesian, that you got the cool loot. You want your cool rogue to keep her fucking mask on and throw that shit in your bag and then stealth into whatever and escape the creepy forest or whatever back to your lair or whatever, you know? So 14 players going to WoW and said, where's the houses? Maybe. What I do like about Magic is a lot of people are supportive of proxy art, alter art, cards made by artists in the community. Other card games don't really do this. That's interesting. I've seen that recently. I'm not super familiar with that scene of proxying, but I've started seeing some shit like that on Instagram, and it actually looks really interesting that there is that support for that. You know, it's gonna be wrapped in plastic. Incredibly watered down and non-committal. Okay, the wrapped in plastic could just be because they have art of a harpy with her tits out or something like that, and they're like, oh my god, look how old school D&D and brutal this is, because we were willing to have some nudity in our Frazetta style art. It could be something super like lame like that, so we have to wrap it in plastic and rate it, you know, M for badass or whatever, and then it just doesn't have any of the brutality that they would have to answer for when somebody comes up and says, how could you make a system where you have a villain that is this pure evil? Answer for your crimes of creating this villain. And then WotC has to go, oh shit, damn, you're right. So I don't know, like, I'm still, again, that's a good sign, but I just don't have the faith, and I want to, you know. Whole thing feels exactly what it is, which is greedy cash grab. What's my issue with that is just the sheer amount of content bloat and like mid content at best while we're at it. I know, that's why we should all instead of getting our content for D&D from Wizards, we should go to twitch.tv Mendari, and you can support her on Twitch and Patreon and YouTube and get real D&D content, like maybe how to ascend to godhood or something. That's cool. That was a cool Kickstarter. That was fucking, you know. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. This the Dark Sun books are to be rated 18 plus. Well, that's good. That's a good sign. And like I'm fully willing to eat my words and say I was completely fucking wrong. They did what Blizzard could not, and I'm proud of them. You know. Yeah, posting on YouTube for like 5 years. Damn. Okay. Well, go to twitch.tv/Mendari and hear her talk about maybe making stuff. So. Or something like that. All right, my mom's heading out pretty soon. Ella is not back, so I have to go return to my fatherly duties and ensure that my son does not I don't know, actually I don't know what he could get into. He can't even roll over yet, you know. Like, that's the thing, man. Like he's just upset sometimes when he's not comfortable, but really there's no ensuring that he's not, you know, he's not crawling. It's like, oh, I need to make sure he doesn't fall off a balcony or some shit. But I just gotta go, you know, go be a dad for a bit or whatever. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm really excited to see about the Star Wars stuff, to see what they do with it at the very least. Because like, if I can separate myself from not wanting it to be a thing in D&D, maybe it'll be a good Star Wars book. It'll be kind of fun. I guess it might come down to how much they try and integrate it with D&D. If they treat it like the D20 system was treated by WotC back in the day, where they're like, here's our Star Wars book with the D20 system, that's great. But if you're gonna have like your warlock summoning a stormtrooper in your Forgotten Realms campaign, I don't know, man. So I don't know, man. You do love the Avatar magic cards. Of course you do. Okay, yeah, I know. All right. I know you have your gold bordered fucking numbered Legends of Korra PSA graded Aang whatever hung up in your bedroom. So I'll see you guys later. Until next time, my friends. Until next time. Farewell.
Formen